Chapter 2101. What do you mean? Common People's Tao Lord looked at Yang Hongwu and asked, What do you mean? Although that was what he guessed, he didn't know what Yang Hongwu was thinking. He needed Yang Hongwu to say it. After all, not everyone would be willing to let an outsider control their god domain. Moreover, to Yang Hongwu, he could still be considered an enemy. You have established a strong power in the common people's god domain. After all, this is a power that belongs to you. I won't take away everything that belongs to you. As for you wanting to control the common people's god domain, that is impossible. I can tell you this point clearly. If you still don't give up on the common people's god domain, then I won't let you go. You need to be clear about this point. Although I don't have any thoughts about ruling the common people's god domain, the common people's god domain source is very important. However, it is very important to me. My current strength is not enough. I need to continuously raise my cultivation base and increase my strength. After all, my enemies are too powerful. They are not people that I can deal with right now. Yang Hongwu did not hide his thoughts at all. When the common people's Tao Lord heard this, he nodded his head. Yang Hongwu actually said all this. He knew that he didn't have any other choice. If he rejected, then Yang Hongwu would directly kill him. This point was clear in his heart. Don't worry, I have already thought it through. After so many years, I have always wanted to obtain the common people's god domain source. This has already become an obsession in my heart. Moreover, the reason why I went berserk was because of this. If it wasn't for this, then my strength wouldn't have stagnated for so many years, and I nearly fell into the demon path. Now that I have been stopped by you, it can be said that my obsession has been resolved. I have already thought through the matter of obtaining the common people's god domain source. To me, the source isn't that important. My Tao isn't here. The common people's Tao Lord shook his head and said, You don't have to worry about this. The reason why I am not willing to leave the common people's god domain is because my strength has been damaged. Moreover, I need to borrow the common people's god palace and the common people's god domain to recover my cultivation. Moreover, the common people's god domain is also where my foundation is. If I leave the common people's god domain, it will be too slow for me to recover my cultivation. After a pause, the common people's god Lord continued. As for the common people's god domain, the common people's god palace was indeed established by me. However, it has been a long time since I have controlled the power of the common people's god palace. If you need it, bring this token of mine to the common people's god palace, and you'll be able to take over this power. Of course, in the common people's god palace, there are actually a few elders who are very ambitious. Now, they're probably plotting against me. Now, it is up to you to deal with them. The common people's god Lord passed a token to Yang Hongwu. That token had 3 ancient and mysterious words carved on it. Common people's token. This was the symbol of the palace lord of the common people's god palace. In truth, this token contained a vast amount of life source energy. This was refined by the common people's Tao Lord using his immense strength to extract a thread of life source energy from the common people's god domain. Carrying this token, one's cultivation would improve by leaps and bounds. One would also be able to control the formations and restrictions of the common people's god palace. However, the main hall of the common people's god palace was destroyed due to the common people's seal flying out. The formations and restrictions of the entire common people's god palace were greatly damaged and needed to be repaired. However, to the common people's god Lord, it wasn't difficult to repair the formations and restrictions. He just needed to spend some time. To Yang Hongwu, it was even easier. He didn't need much time to repair the formations and restrictions. It was much easier than the common people's god Lord. Good stuff. Yang Hongwu took a look and said, Of course, I paid a huge price to refine this medallion. I extracted a strand of the common life god realm's origin energy and combined it with an ancient god origin stone. This medallion isn't just the symbol of the common life god palace's palace master. It can also activate the formations and restrictions of the entire common life god palace. The common people's god Lord said, However, since you obtained the source of the common people's god domain and became the palace lord of the common people's god palace, this token won't be of much help to you. However, You can use this token to mobilize the power of the common people's God Palace. This thing isn't of much use to me. However, it isn't bad to use it to mobilize some people and deal with some matters. Yang Hongwu nodded. In truth, apart from the people he trusted the most, Yang Hongwu didn't need others to follow him. However, this common people's token could mobilize the power of the common people's God Palace. At special times, it could be used to do many things. It could save a lot of trouble. This was the benefit of having power. You are willing to submit to me? Yang Hongwu looked to the common people's God Lord and said, You can't say that. The common people's God Lord said, I can hand the common people's God Palace to you. However, I have my own freedom. I won't listen to your orders. To the common people's God Lord, it was impossible for him to submit. Even if he died, he wouldn't choose to submit. At least, it was impossible now. If you want me to submit, you aren't strong enough. Unless you break through the Tao Lord realm and enter the realm above it, I won't submit to you. The common people's God Lord said. As a peak Tao Lord expert, how could he easily submit to others? If he submitted to Yang Hongwu, a cultivator who was only at the early ruler realm, how could he face others if this spread out? Therefore, no matter what, no matter how strong Yang Hongwu was, he wouldn't choose to submit. It's okay if you don't submit. One day, I will make you submit to me willingly. Yang Hongwu smiled. Seeing Yang Hongwu and the common people's God Lord like this, and hearing their conversation, Zi Xintong was stunned. It was resolved just like that. A huge battle, and it ended so angrily. She didn't dare to believe it. However, how could an expert like the common people's God Lord give up so easily? Zi Xintong was a little worried. Yang Hongwu, you trust him so easily? Zi Xintong transmitted to Yang Hongwu. If he goes back on his words with his strength, he might cause us a lot of trouble. No, he won't. Yang Hongwu smiled. If he doesn't want to trigger his heart demon again and fall into the demon path, he won't. Yang Hongwu was very confident about this point. In truth, the common people's God Lord's demonic intent hadn't been completely removed. It was just being suppressed. In a short period of time, he had to suppress it. Of course, his cultivation would also increase. Mobile users, please browse. And you want to talk about the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people. You want to follow advanced reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find friends. Chapter 2102. Do you have anything else to say? Is there anything else? If there isn't, then I'll take my leave. The common people's Tao Lord looked at Yang Hongwu. Let's go. Yang Hongwu waved his hand. We're letting him go just like that. Zi Xintong frowned slightly as she watched the common people's Tao Lord leave. If he had any other intentions, then it would be no different than letting a tiger return to the mountain. Even if they let him go, they would be letting him go. Even an oath or a contract was fine. After all, one had to pay a huge price to go against an oath and a contract, especially when one had reached that realm. Even though they were strong, they could go against oaths and contracts when they were strong enough or under special circumstances. However, the price they had to pay wouldn't be small. Moreover, Yang Hongwu's identity was special. If Yang Hongwu had made a contract with the common people's Tao Lord, then the price he had to pay to go against it would be even greater. It was even possible that he wouldn't be able to go against it at all. What else? Yang Hongwu said, It's best if he leaves. Our enemy is still hiding in the shadows. The venerable Tao Defiant? That's right. Yang Hongwu nodded. You should be able to sense where the venerable Tao Defiant is now, right? As long as he's in the common people's divine domain, then you should be able to find him as the Lord of the common people's divine domain. Now, Yang Hongwu had become the Lord of the common people's divine domain. Even though his cultivation hadn't risen to the Tao Lord realm, it shouldn't take too much time for that. He's not in the common people's divine domain. Moreover, I'm not sure. After all, the venerable Tao Defiant strength is too terrifying. Even though it's only an incarnation of the venerable Tao Defiant that came, its strength isn't to be underestimated. Ordinary people can resist it. Yang Hongwu said, if he's determined to go into hiding, then it'll be really difficult to find him. The Exalt Tao Defiant definitely possessed formidable ability. If he was determined to conceal himself, then it would really be difficult for others to find him. It was the same for Yang Hongwu, who was the master of the common people's god domain. Although Yang Hongwu had become the master of the common people god domain, his strength was still not enough. He couldn't truly control the common people god domain. He could only use the source energy of the common people god domain. Even the power of laws was impossible. Unless Yang Hongwu broke through the limit of Tao Lord and entered the level of Tao Sovereign, then he could control the entire common people's god realm, or even the entire god realm. After he became the controller of the common god domain, Yang Hongwu noticed a problem. Actually, the common god domain was the key to the entire god domain. If he was able to merge the 13 god domains together, then he would be able to restore the glory of the ancient god domain. Perhaps the combination of the 13 god domains was only the tip of the iceberg of the true ancient god domain. According to rumor, the ancient god domain had shattered and formed the 13 god domains. However, Yang Hongwu guessed that the ancient god domain was extremely huge, and the 13 god domains were merely small fragments of the ancient god domain. Yang Hongwu didn't know if it was true or not. After all, Yang Hongwu's strength was still insufficient. It'll be troublesome if we can't find the Exalt Tao Defiant. It'll be very troublesome if that fellow hides in the shadows and watches us covetously. Zi Xintong frowned. It wasn't a good thing to be watched by such an expert in the shadows. She couldn't even sleep peacefully. She didn't know when the Exalt Tao Defiant would appear and give her a lethal blow. That was the most terrifying thing. He'll appear sooner or later. Yang Hongwu said, I know that as well. However, it'll be very uncomfortable if he doesn't appear and just hides in the shadows. Moreover, you still have to find who Xiao and the others, right? Said Zi Xintong. Daoist Xuesong. I'm looking for Daoist Xuesong. Now that I've become the master of the common people's divine domain, I'll make him leave if he doesn't even give me this little bit of face. A cold light flashed through Yang Hongwu's eyes. If it was before, Yang Hongwu wouldn't have been so confident. After all, he wasn't strong enough, and Daoist Xuesong was a half-step Dao Exalt who was extremely formidable. He wasn't a match for Daoist Xuesong. However, Yang Hongwu didn't fear Daoist Xuesong now. Even though his cultivation hadn't increased, Daoist Xuesong wasn't a match for him in the common people's divine domain. Moreover, even if he couldn't defeat Daoist Xuesong, he could still force Daoist Xuesong to leave the common people's divine domain. After all, he was the master of the common people's divine domain now. Even if he hadn't completely refined the quintessence of the common people's divine domain. However, it was still possible to do something like this. Look for Daoist Xuesong. Logically speaking, if Hu Xiao and the others are in the common people's divine domain, you should be able to find them as the master of the common people's divine domain, right? This was something Zi Xintong was very confused about. Since Yang Hongwu had become a master of the common people's divine domain, he couldn't help but ask, as the master of the common people's divine domain, if he couldn't even find a single person in the common people's divine domain, then this master of the common people's divine domain was too useless. Moreover, don't think too simply of Daoist Xuesong. Daoist Xuesong should have obtained the inheritance of the ancient gods. If he doesn't want to appear, you still won't be able to find him. Zi Xintong said. Moreover, your current strength isn't enough. If you had reached the Tao Lord realm, then perhaps you wouldn't need to be afraid of him. However, I have to admit that if you were to face Daoist Xuesong now, it's hard to say who would be stronger and who would be weaker. Hearing Zi Xintong's words, Yang Hongwu was speechless. So, she still didn't have confidence in him. You underestimate me too much. I've already found the location of Xuesong Mountain in the Snowy Highlands. As long as I want to, I can pull it out at any time. Yang Hongwu said confidently. Moreover, Daoist Xuesong is a smart person. He knows what to do. Yang Hongwu also knew the art of divination, but his understanding of it hadn't reached that level. Especially when it came to people related to him, it was too difficult to divine. Come, let's go find Daoist Xuesong. Yang Hongwu pulled Zi Xintong up and waved his hand. opening a portal. The two entered and in the next moment appeared on the snowy highlands. They saw an ancient snowy mountain. It was Daoist Xuesong's Xuesong Mountain. You're here. Daoist Xuesong looked at Yang Hongwu. He seemed to know that Yang Hongwu was coming and wasn't surprised at all. Yang Hongwu admired Daoist Xuesong for being so calm. He wasn't surprised to see Yang Hongwu's strength increase. He had to admit that Daoist Xuesong was strong. Mobile users, please browse. MIF, you want to chat about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon art with more like-minded people? Follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Chat about life. Find friends. Chapter 2103. It seems like Senior's prophecy is godlike. Yang Hongwu looked at Daoist Xuesong and said, "You knew that I was coming. You surprised me." Daoist Xuesong looked at Yang Hongwu in disbelief. Yang Hongwu could actually escape a calamity and even reach a higher level, becoming the master of the common people's domain. This was something he didn't expect. Godlike prophecy, I don't dare to say that. I didn't think that you could actually escape from that person. Daoist Xuesong was very shocked. Although that person was just a clone, his strength was not to be underestimated. Even Daoist Xuesong himself wasn't confident that he could take advantage of him. Even if it was just a clone, Yang Hongwu could be safe and even reach a higher level. Daoist Xuesong was also very clear that in order to become the master of the common people's domain, one had to go through a person, and that was the common people's Dao monarch. He was also very clear about the strength of the common people's Dao monarch. He was incomparably strong. Although he was weaker than him, his battle strength was absolutely terrifying. Yang Hongwu for Hongwu, to be able to become the master of the common people's domain, meant that he defeated the common people's Dao monarch. Previously, he felt a strong aura, and that aura was the aura of the common people's Dao monarch. Moreover, that aura was the aura of the common people's Dao monarch. Even Daoist Xuesong himself didn't have any confidence at all. However, Yang Hongwu was able to defeat him unscathed. It could be seen that Yang Hongwu had many secrets and many powerful trump cards. But yes, this was what made Daoist Xuesong curious. Before, he tested Yang Hongwu's strength, and his strength wasn't as strong as he thought. Could it be because of Zi Xintong, the Saint Demon Princess? The princess of the Saint Demon clan was indeed very strong, and the power of her bloodline was also very terrifying. However, Zi Xintong's cultivation hadn't reached that level, so it was impossible for her to be that strong. Although there were many doubts in his heart, Daoist Xuesong didn't show it. I was just lucky, Yang Hongwu said modestly. Yang Hongwu was quite wary of Xuesong Taoist. Even though he had become the master of the common people realm, he was still not strong enough. You don't have to be humble, domain lord. At this moment, Daoist Xuesong changed the way he addressed Yang Hongwu. Now that Yang Hongwu had become the ruler of the common people's domain, Daoist Xuesong naturally realized that luck was also a part of strength. There was no such thing as luck to cultivators. When experts fought, life and death were decided in an instant. No matter what the factors were, victory was victory and defeat was defeat. This is due to the domain ruler's strength. This time around, I already know the reason why the domain ruler has come again. If the domain ruler wants to know about those people, I am powerless to do so. Daoist Xuesong stared at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu's purpose in coming here was to find someone, but Xuesong couldn't say who he was looking for. Senior, tell me the truth. Are you unwilling to tell me? Or is there another reason? Yang Hongwu looked at Daoist Xuesong with a sharp gaze. This was very important to Yang Hongwu. Daoist Xuesong said, "However, I can't say it." Why can't you? Yang Hongwu looked at Daoist Xuesong. It was a good thing to be able to obtain information about someone. I can't afford to offend them. Daoist Xuesong said, "Once I reveal the location of that place, I will offend a supreme expert. That supreme expert strength is too terrifying. If he wants to kill me, he can do it in an instant." Xuesong, although Daoist Xuesong didn't want to admit it, it was the truth after all. With senior strength, would there be someone you are afraid of? I don't believe it. Yang Hongwu didn't quite believe it. If How could Taoist Shui Song calculate their location if the opponent's strength was really that terrifying? Moreover, if that person's strength was really that great, Taoist Shui Song wouldn't dare to calculate it. There was no difference between calculating and saying it out loud. What is the strength of the expert you have offended? That person's strength is comparable to the person you have offended. That person doesn't want you to see the person you want to see at this time. Taoist Shui Song shook his head and said, "Senior, do you know how important they are to me? If you're unwilling to tell me their location, I might do something crazy. For them, I'm willing to pay any price. Senior, you have to think this through. When the time comes, it'll be too late for regrets." Yang Hongwu looked at Taoist Shui Song with a cold glint in his eyes. "When I go crazy, even I am afraid of myself. I am well aware of the territorial lord's feelings, but sometimes there are some things that cannot be forced. Even if the territorial lord wants to force me, there is no other way. Moreover, although the territorial lord is powerful now, it is still not enough to deal with me. I don't want to be your enemy, and I don't think you want to have another enemy, right?" Taoist Shui Song looked at Yang Hongwu and said, his divination technique could be said to be unparalleled in the world, but he couldn't see Yang Hongwu's future clearly. However, he only saw a trace of it. Nevertheless, this trace was enough to show how terrifying Yang Hongwu was. His Yang Hongwu's future was like a layer of fog, making it difficult for others to see clearly. However, a terrifying power was revealed from within. It was a supreme and mighty power that left others in the dust. It was far from what he could compare to. It was clear that Yang Hongwu's future was extremely powerful. Only Yang Hongwu's future could be said to be boundless. Of course, Taoist Shui Song didn't want to offend such an expert. As for seizing his fortune and opportunities, Taoist Shui Song didn't even dare to think about it. Only Yang Hongwu's fortune was too terrifying. It could be said that no one in the divine domain could resist it. No one was more terrifying than him. Thinking about Ito sees the fate of such a son of destiny. Unless one's own fate was strong enough, or one had a special constitution, it was impossible to do so. Once one went against such a person, it would be equivalent to courting death. However, in the deity's domain, apart from him, there was no one else who could see through this. If he could have a good relationship with Yang Hongwu, of course, he couldn't ask for anything more. However, the problem right now was that he couldn't give Yang Hongwu what he wanted. Taoist Shui Song was also depressed. If he revealed that person's location, he wouldn't be able to handle the anger of the other party. The other party was too strong. Inside, when he wanted to speak, he had already received a warning. If he had really spoken, he was afraid that he would be a dead man by now. If you want to talk about the Nine Heavens divine dragon art with more like-minded people, follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find friends. Chapter 2104. Of course, I don't want to be your enemy. After all, you're a peerless expert. Although I've become the master of the common people's divine realm and control it, it's almost impossible for me to take you down. Yang Hongwu didn't deny this point. However, Senior, you have to know how important they are to me. For them, I'm almost willing to give up my life. Therefore, no matter how powerful Senior is, I will still try. Shui Song Taoist was speechless. He didn't expect Yang Hongwu to be like this. Looking at his eyes, he knew that Yang Hongwu wasn't lying. However, you have to understand that I don't want to die. You have to know that the expert is too terrifying. If he comes, the entire divine realm will be destroyed. If he wants to kill you and me, he can do it with just a thought. Therefore, I won't say anything. Moreover, I can tell you that the person you're looking for is safe and sound. On the contrary, she'll gain great benefits there. Shui Song Taoist wanted to dispel Yang Hongwu's thoughts. He could only persuade him. If that didn't work, then he could only try. Senior, you have your difficulties, and so do I. Why don't we fight? If I win, you can tell me their information. How about that? Yang Hongwu looked at Shui Song Taoist and said, it was impossible to resolve this peacefully. Then they could only fight. No need. You're in charge of the common people's divine realm now. You can use the power of the common people's divine realm. I'm naturally not your opponent. Yang Hongwu was stunned by Shui Song Taoist's words. He didn't expect Shuesong Taoist to admit defeat. I choose to leave the common people's divine realm. With that, Taoist Shuesong waved his hand and sent out a seal. The entire snowy peak mountain instantly changed and turned into the size of a large seal. In the next moment, it sank into Taoist Shuesong's forehead. Then, Taoist Shuesong waved his hand and tore open the void, forming a spatial door. In the next moment, Taoist Shuesong stepped into it and disappeared. Yang Hongwu wanted to stop him, but it was too late. He who would have thought that Taoist Shuesong would be so decisive, not fighting with him, and choosing to leave the common people god domain. Yang Hongwu didn't know what to do. Even though Yang Hongwu could lock onto Taoist Shuesong's position and even choose to chase after him, Yang Hongwu knew that once he left the common people's divine realm, there would be a huge gap between his strength and Taoist Shuesong's. Despite his mediocre mastery of the Tao of space, he was powerful enough on top of having a spatial treasure. This was enough for him to traverse through many powerful spaces and enter other worlds. Real Taoist Shuesong had no other choice. He already had his own foundation in the common people's divine realm. Moreover, his strength was one of the best in the divine realm, so he wouldn't be a threat. However, he couldn't improve his strength further. He had always wanted to try going to other spaces, but he couldn't make up his mind. This time, Yang Hongwu gave him a choice. In addition, the divine realm wasn't peaceful at the moment. This made him even more determined, leaving the divine realm and going to other spaces. Other spaces were too unknown. There might be unknown threats. Although his strength was not bad, there might be many powerful existences in other planes. In the endless void, who knew what kind of horror there would be? Of course, danger and opportunity coexisted. Although there were great dangers and terrors in the endless void, there were also great opportunities. If he stayed in the divine realm, he might never be able to break through. However, if he entered the endless void and looked for other spaces, he might be able to break through. Everything was unknown. What would happen the next moment after entering the endless void? Even with his peerless divination technique, he didn't have the slightest confidence. However, he still had an advantage over others. Once he sensed danger, he could choose to enter other spaces. Yang Hongwu also knew how dangerous it was to enter the endless void. Even though his space traversal secret technique was very powerful, he still didn't dare to enter it easily. Otherwise, he wouldn't have paid such a great price to obtain the planar boat in the divine palace of Jiga Empire. Even now, he had obtained the planar boat, but he still didn't dare to enter the endless void. The endless void was full of dangers. If he wasn't strong enough, he would be swallowed up by the endless void and not even dregs would be left behind. Nowadays, those who had the strength to enter the endless void safely had to be at least above the Tao Lord realm. Even if they were Tao masters, they wouldn't be 100% safe in the endless void. Because of all these reasons, Yang Hongwu gave up chasing Taoist Shuesong and entered the void. I didn't expect Taoist Shuesong to abandon the snowy plateau and escape from the divine realm. Xintong murmured as she looked in the direction Taoist Shuesong had fled. If I had known, I would have sealed the space first. A trace of helplessness flashed in Yang Hongwu's eyes. He didn't expect that a terrifying expert like Taoist Shuesong would make such a choice to flee without a fight. What should we do now? Xintong asked. I'm afraid there's no trace of them in the common people's divine realm. You'll have to enter other divine realms to find some information. I'm going to the demon realm. Yang Hongwu's eyes flashed with a cold light. Since he couldn't find any information in the common people's divine realm, he would go to the demon realm and find Zitian. Only Zitian would hate him to the core and think of ways to attack him. Go to the demon realm now. Xintong shook her head and said, I don't recommend you to do that. Although you're strong now, it's built on a foundation, and that's in the common people's domain. Only in the common people's domain will you be so strong. However, once you enter the demon domain, your strength will be greatly weakened. You won't have the strength to fight against Zitian. Zitian is currently in seclusion. Once he comes out, his strength will reach the peak. He might even break through to the legendary realm, surpassing the Tao monarch realm. Are you sure? Yang Hongwu said. Although Zetian is strong, he shouldn't be able to break through in such a short time. Once he breaks through to the Tao Lord realm, I won't have a chance either. He wanted to talk about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people. Talk about life, find friends. Chapter 2105. You think too simply of Zetian. If Zetian's strength wasn't that great, how could I have entered the common people's divine domain? Zi Xintong said. Zetian's strength had already surpassed mine. It was precisely because I couldn't suppress him. I just left the demon domain and entered this world. I can tell you the truth. The people you're looking for aren't in the demon domain. Why risk your life in the demon domain at this time? Looking at Zi Xintong, Yang Hongwu said, Are you sure that Xiao and the others aren't in the demon domain? Yang Hongwu wasn't sure about this. When it came to the safety of his women, Yang Hongwu didn't dare to be careless at all. If they really fell into Zetian's hands, Yang Hongwu really could not imagine what kind of method Zetian would use to torture them. After all, Zetian hated him and Hu Xiao to the bone. After all, Hu Xiao was one of them. Hu Xiao was Zetian's fiancée. The hatred of stealing one's wife could be said to be absolutely irreconcilable. Therefore, Zetian's hatred towards him was absolutely impossible to resolve. Moreover, Yang Hongwu didn't want to resolve it. Only death could resolve this hatred. No, I'm sure of it, Zi Xintong said. After all, I'm the princess of the demon domain. My status is only below Zetian's. Back then, Zetian's strength was comparable to mine. However, Zetian's strength should have surpassed mine now. He obtained the inheritance of the Saint Demon Clan's Demon Lord, which is more than a level stronger than mine. If Zetian reaches the peak, he should be able to break through the bottleneck of the Tao Monarch realm and enter a higher realm. However, the laws of the divine domain restrict existences above the Tao Monarch realm. Once one surpasses the Tao Monarch realm, one will enter a higher space, which is the legendary ancient god domain and ancient demon domain. Yang Hongwu had heard of the so-called ancient god domain and ancient demon domain. However, it wasn't difficult to find the entrance to the ancient god domain and ancient demon domain. Perhaps if he controlled the entire 13 divine domains and became the master of the 13 divine domains, he would be able to find the true entrance to the ancient god domain. Of course, it was very difficult. If one wasn't strong enough, it was impossible. Zetian's goal of unifying the divine domain was probably the same idea. However, Yang Hongwu didn't know what connection there was between the ancient demon domain and the 13 divine domains. He didn't find any traces of the ancient demon. Could it be that the so-called domain was a part of the ancient demon domain? However, the demon region was one of the 13 divine regions. Yang Hongwu didn't know what was going on. But for him, the most important thing right now was not the so-called 13 divine regions, nor the demon realm. What he cared about the most was how to find Hu Xiao and the other women, find his women, and then find a way to return to Earth. Law. However, that required strength, sufficient strength. Without sufficient strength, everything was just empty talk. Perhaps, when his cultivation rose to the Tao Lord realm, or even above that, he would be able to find the original Earth. Or perhaps, if he could really refine the cultivation of his previous life and refine the memories of his previous life, he would be able to find out the secrets. However, there was a huge risk. If he wasn't strong enough, his will might be taken away and he would lose his current self-consciousness. In that case, he would have no control and would no longer be himself. Losing himself would be no different from dying. This was something Yang Hongwu didn't want to see. Since it's not in the demon domain or the common people's divine domain, where is it? Yang Hongwu didn't have a clue and was quite worried. However, he heard from Daoist Xuesong that there was someone cultivating with a supreme master. That person didn't have a chance. The danger made Yang Hongwu calm down. Was that person Hu Xiao or Zheng Xiaoshuang? There was no news at all. This made Yang Hongwu very angry. but there was nothing he could do. It would be great if he could also calculate and was strong enough. Go to each of the 13 divine domains. This is the only way. Now that we have arrived at the eternal divine domain and the common people's divine domain, let's go to the ice divine domain. How about it? Zi Xintong looked at Yang Hongwu and said. Yang Hongwu was familiar with the ice snow dominion as he had been there before. However, he hadn't been strong enough at that time. The ice snow dominion he had seen was just the ice snow dominion before it was sealed. It wasn't the real ice snow dominion. It was just an outer domain, just like the common people's divine domain. Okay, let's go to the ice divine domain. Yang Hongwu nodded. Since he didn't know the specific location of the girls, he could only look for them one by one. He would find them eventually. In fact, if you're not in a hurry, I suggest that you stabilize your cultivation before you go. If you can break through to the Tao Lord realm, everything will be very easy. I think with your strength and your connection with Sister Xiao, and the others, it will be very difficult. With your connection with Xiao, it will be easier to find them. Zi Xintong said. No. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, cultivation knows no time. Once you enter a state of cultivation, countless years may pass in an instant. No one knows what will happen during this period of time. So, I can't delay. If I cultivate, I can cultivate on the road. It's possible to cultivate. I can cultivate while searching for it. That's how my cultivation increased. What kind of joke was this? Going into closed-door cultivation. Once someone reached this level of cultivation, time would pass in an instant. The next time they would wake up would be decades or even centuries later. This was not a joke. This was something Yang Hongwu didn't want to do. Hearing those words, Zi Xintong knew that this was indeed an enormous problem. After all, once one's cultivation had reached such a level, once one entered a state of cultivation, it was truly unknown how long it would take for one to wake up. Okay, it's up to you, Zi Xintong said. Anyway, for me, if I want to increase my strength, it's not something that can be done overnight. I need to accumulate. So, it doesn't matter if I go into seclusion or not. For Zi Xintong, it wasn't easy for her to increase her cultivation base. Unless she had a great opportunity, or like Zi Tian, she could obtain the inheritance of the Saint Devil Clan's Demon Lord. However, that was something that could only happen by chance. It was something that couldn't be sought. If she wasn't weaker than Zi Tian, she might have been the one to obtain the inheritance of the Saint Devil Clan's Demon Lord. Although she was unwilling, there was nothing she could do. It seemed that Zi Tian was destined to be the Saint Devil Clan's Demon Lord successor. She was unwilling, but there was nothing she could do. Everything seemed to be destined. If you want to chat with more like-minded people about the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon Technique, you can follow me on WeChat. Talk about life, find friends. Chapter 2106. The Ice Dominion. Here the entire Ice Dominion was much colder than before. The entire Ice Dominion was covered in ice and snow. There was an ancient and mysterious region at the center of the Ice Dominion. It was so ancient and mysterious that one couldn't see the end of it. However, the area around it wasn't very big. Only the central area seemed to be infinitely enlarged. It was an extremely special place. It was a unique space. That was the real Ice Dominion. Yang Hongwu had been to the Ice Dominion before. However, the Ice Dominion wasn't as rich in spiritual energy as it was now. The energy here was several times denser. And if a cultivator with a cold physique cultivated here, they would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Clang. However, it was the same for Yang Hongwu. After all, Yang Hongwu's physique was very special. In addition, he cultivated the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon Technique and the Devouring Furnace. What kind of spiritual energy couldn't he devour? He could cultivate in the endless void. Unlike ordinary people, if they hadn't reached the Tao Lord realm, they would only die if they entered the endless void. Yes, to Yang Hongwu, the Devouring Furnace wasn't the only thing that could devour all kinds of energy to cultivate. He also had the Fortune Sacred Tree. This Fortune Sacred Tree could devour and spit out energy from the endless void, turning it into the power of fortune for Yang Hongwu. Yes, the creation sacred tree was still too weak. If the creation sacred tree could reach the level of a Tao Lord, Yang Hongwu would have endless creation power to cultivate. Even now, the fortune sacred tree was only one step away from reaching the sovereign realm as Yang Hongwu's strength increased. If Yang Hongwu's cultivation increased by another level, then the fortune sacred tree would reach the sovereign realm. This way, it will be able to devour more fortune energy. If the fortune sacred tree reached the sovereign realm, the speed at which it accumulated fortune energy would greatly increase. It would be able to accumulate fortune energy for one fortune Tao pill in a year. In this way, Yang Hongwu wouldn't have to worry about the girls' cultivation. The fortune Tao pill would be enough to increase their cultivation. Clang. However, unless it was absolutely necessary, Yang Hongwu wouldn't choose this method to increase the girls' cultivation. After all, using pills to increase one's cultivation wasn't stable and wouldn't help one's future cultivation. In other words, medicinal pills could indeed help cultivators improve their cultivation. However, once they reached a certain cultivation realm, it would be much more difficult for cultivators who relied on medicinal pills to improve their cultivation compared to cultivators who did not rely on medicinal pills to improve their cultivation. For example, a cultivator could reach the ruler realm by relying on his own strength. However, another cultivator also reached the ruler realm by relying on pills. After reaching the ruler realm, they wanted to break through to the Tao Lord realm. Their talents were the same. However, the cultivator who relied on pills would find it much more difficult to break through to the Tao Lord realm than the cultivator who relied on his own strength. It might be 1,000 times, 10,000 times, or even more difficult. This was the problem of relying on pills. Clang. Of course, Yang Hongwu didn't need to worry about this because he had the devouring furnace. It could devour and refine all kinds of energy. Pills were one of them. His cultivation was very difficult to begin with. He needed to consume a lot of energy. For him, the medicinal efficacy of pills was just the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. It was just another form of energy. The ice dominion has an additional effect on cultivators with cold constitutions. Conversely, it has a suppressive effect on cultivators of other attributes. The current dominion lord of the ice dominion is called Shui Wu. She's a late-stage Tao Lord and possesses a supreme creation treasure, the sacred zither of ice. It's said that when fully utilized, it can freeze an entire god dominion, Zi Xintong explained. Freeze the entire god domain? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. A Tao Lord expert could freeze the entire god domain. The power of such a supreme treasure was indeed terrifying. It should be known that the Ice Dominion wasn't the only god domain in the entire god domain. There were also 13 god domains. Everyone knew how vast the 13 god domains were. No. Wouldn't it cost a lot to do so? No. Even a Tao Master who had surpassed the Tao Lord level would find it difficult to freeze the entire god realm. Wouldn't it? No. The god domain wasn't that simple. If it was before, Yang Hongwu would have believed it. However, after understanding the vastness and uniqueness of the god domain, he didn't think so anymore. She's very powerful, Yang Hongwu said. If Yang Hongwu didn't think he had the strength to offend Shui Wu, after all, he didn't think he had the strength to do so. No, if Shui Wu was so powerful, why did Zi Tian provoke the Ice Dominion? At that time, the Ice Dominion was badly suppressed. According to my understanding, in the entire divine realm, the powerhouses of the various major divine realms want to join forces to deal with Zi Tian, right? If her control over the dominion of ice is so strong, then her strength alone is enough to deal with Zi Tian. This was what Yang Hongwu was curious about. Shui Wu won't make a move easily. Moreover, she hides her strength very well. I only found out about it by accident. As for whether it's true or not, I don't know. Of course, even if it's true, she'll have to pay a huge price to use that move. It's not something an ordinary person can bear. Zi Xintong said, "That's true." Yang Hongwu nodded. "Let's go to the Shrine of Ice." Zi Xintong said. You're the princess of the demon domain. Aren't you afraid that Shui Wu will harm you if you go to the Shrine of Ice? Yang Hongwu asked Zi Xintong. You'll protect me, right? Zi Xintong looked at Yang Hongwu and asked. Yang Hongwu was speechless. He replied, if Shui Wu is as powerful as you say, I'm afraid I won't be able to resist her. How can I protect you? You're making my heart ache. Zi Xintong blinked her eyes and looked at Yang Hongwu. Could it be that I have no place in your heart? That I'm so insignificant in your heart? I'm so disappointed. Yang Hongwu was speechless. That's not what I meant. Yang Hongwu smiled bitterly. If Shui Wu really wants to harm you, I'll do my best to protect you. Are you serious? Zi Xintong smiled through her tears and stared at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu felt his hair stand on end. A woman's thoughts were always difficult to guess. Yang Hongwu couldn't figure out what Zi Xintong was thinking. Chapter 2107. Of course. What have I, Yang Hongwu, ever lied? Yang Hongwu said helplessly. I knew that you wouldn't bear to see me being bullied. Zi Xintong smiled happily when she heard Yang Hongwu's words. She was testing Yang Hongwu. Let's go to the Shrine of Ice and see the Ice Goddess. Yang Hongwu said. Eat from the bowl while looking at the pot, Zi Xintong said, rolling her eyes at Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu was speechless. There was jealousy in her words. Yang Hongwu didn't reply. The two of them walked all the way to the Shrine of Ice. The Shrine of Ice was heavily guarded, with layers upon layers of formations and restrictions. It wasn't an easy task for outsiders to enter. It was almost impossible to sneak in. Only had they been watched as soon as they arrived outside the shrine. Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong didn't have any ill intentions and didn't hide anything. Therefore, the Shrine of Ice's guards had already noticed them the moment they appeared. Of course, the people of the Ice Dominion were very vigilant when they saw Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong. After all, an expert like Zi Xintong was a great threat to them. In the Ice Dominion, apart from the Ice Goddess, no one else was a match for a Tao Lord. Ice in the Shrine of Ice, apart from Ice Goddess Xintong, the other experts were very vigilant. As for Ice Goddess Xintong, she didn't seem to care too much. It was as if she had expected this. There was a woman beside Ice Goddess Xintong. This woman looked very similar to Ice Goddess Xintong, but she seemed ethereal and holy. She had a supreme and otherworldly aura. In the mirror, there was a mirror in front of them. In the mirror, there was an image of Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong. He's here, said the woman. Are you talking about that kid, China? His cultivation realm isn't high. He's only at the sovereign realm. Can he really help me like you said? Snow Dance looked at Yang Hongwu in disbelief. However, this gigolo's ability to deal with women is not small. Even the infernal princess was attracted by him. Shui Wu, isn't he that simple? He is now the lord of the common people divine domain. You should know that the most important lord of the 13 divine domains is the common people divine domain. The common people divine domain is the core of the 13 divine domains. As long as his cultivation reaches a certain level, he can open the door to the ancient divine domain. He is the key figure. Although his cultivation is only at the sovereign realm, his strength is extremely powerful. If you want to enter the ice sacred land, only he can help you, said the girl called Qin Er. It's still too early to say. We'll know once we test it out, Ice Dance said. Ice outside, the heavenly snow hall. Yang Hongwu frowned slightly. I didn't expect that we would be monitored. Don't be surprised. It should be the Lord of the Ice Divine Domain, Shui Wu, who is monitoring us, said Zi Xintong. Zi Xintong said, given her strength, unless we deliberately conceal ourselves, she will be able to sense us as soon as we enter the Ice Dominion. This is very normal. After all, we are not weak. To the Dominion Lord of any Dominion, if a powerful stranger appears in their territory, it would be strange if they are not vigilant. Comparatively speaking, Ice Dance's method is considered calm. If it were someone else, perhaps we would be facing a large group of people at this time. Stop. When Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong arrived at the entrance of the Divine Palace, they were blocked by the guards of the Ice Divine Domain. Who are you? Please inform the Lord of the Common People Divine Domain, Yang Hongwu is here to see your lord, said Yang Hongwu. Since they didn't come here to cause trouble, they naturally had to be polite before resorting to force. If the other party didn't want to see them, then it would be another matter. The lord of the common people, divine domain? The guard stared at Yang Hongwu in disbelief. He was also a sovereign realm cultivator, while Yang Hongwu was only at the sovereign realm. Moreover, he was only at the early sovereign realm. How could a mere early sovereign realm cultivator become the ruler of a region? That was impossible. After all, without sufficient strength, how could one convince the masses? Moreover, wasn't the lord of the common people divine domain the lord of the common people divine domain? Although he was only a guard, he still had some understanding of this. No, he didn't think too much about it, because he could see that the woman beside Yang Hongwu had unfathomable strength. He couldn't see through her. But, moreover, no one would have the guts to come to the Ice Divine Domain and the Ice Divine Palace, unless they were courting death, provoking and causing trouble. Therefore, he looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "Please wait a moment. I'll go and report this." However, he had a lot of questions in his heart and was very curious. However, to him, this wasn't something he should care about. He only needed to report. As for whether or not the man in front of him was the master of the common people god region, it would be up to the ice goddess or the elders of the shrine to determine. He was only responsible for reporting. Yang Hongwu could see that the guard had a lot of doubts about his identity. However, Yang Hongwu was surprised that the guard didn't say anything and directly went to report this. Yang Hongwu had to admit that the guard's quality wasn't bad. After all, Yang Hongwu could see that the guard's cultivation was at the mid-stage ruler realm. He couldn't see in person, but Yang Hongwu could see that the guard's physique was very strange. Moreover, he had a powerful force. If this force were to erupt, it would be comparable to a late-stage Dao Lord. This guard wasn't an ordinary person. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. Perhaps the guard was the reincarnation of a powerhouse. If Yang Hongwu didn't have a powerful eye technique, he really wouldn't be able to see the guard's cultivation level. The Ice Dominion is truly extraordinary. There are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers, said Yang Hongwu. What did you discover? Asked Zi Xintong curiously. That guard isn't simple, said Yang Hongwu. He's just a ruler. What's so special about a gatekeeper? Zi Xintong was surprised. She didn't understand why Yang Hongwu would treat a guard so differently. Could it be that there's something special about this gatekeeper? There's a sacred force in his body. It's very powerful, said Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu said, but it's hidden very well. This guard is either the reincarnation of a mighty figure or a chess piece. Zi Xintong frowned slightly. She looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "Are you telling the truth? Why can't I see it?" Zi Xintong doubted Yang Hongwu's words. After all, she was a Dao Lord, while Yang Hongwu was only a ruler. Yang Hongwu could see it, but she couldn't. However, she knew that Yang Hongwu had no reason to joke. Chapter 2108. He might be a pawn left behind by an almighty. I wonder what he is plotting? Yang Hongwu squinted his eyes. In that instant, he felt a slight change in the power in the guard's body. He didn't know if it was because of him or Zi Xintong. Zi Xintong was from the sacred demon clan and belonged to the demon clan. The power in the guard's body was extremely holy and radiant. He was the enemy of the sacred demon clan. This guard makes me feel disgusted. Is it because of the holy power in his body? Zi Xintong asked. It is possible that the power in the guard's body is a holy and radiant power. It is the bane of the demon clan. Perhaps that is the reason why you belong to the sacred demon clan. Yang Hongwu said. Zi Xintong said, if that is the case, then this guard must die. As she spoke, Zi Xintong's eyes were filled with murderous intent. For Zi Xintong, any enemy that could threaten her life must be killed in the cradle, even if the other party had not shown any hostility. To the people of the Holy Devil Clan, they would rather kill the wrong person than let them go. Don't act rashly. Yang Hongwu said, didn't you say that Xue Xue is extremely powerful? This is the Ice Snow domain, not the common life domain. It is also not your demon domain. so don't act rashly. Moreover, that guard may not be your enemy. Zi Xintong said, I know. I won't ruin your plan. However, even if I kill him, I will only kill a guard. Xue Xue will not become my enemy because of a guard. Yang Hongwu was speechless. Look, he said, don't act rashly. That guard is not that simple. If I'm not wrong, that power is probably not from the divine domain. The extraterritorial race? Zi Xintong's eyes flashed coldly. If it is not the God clan, then it is the extraterritorial race? In the ancient God domain, the entire God domain was divided into three forces. One was the ancient God domain, and the other was the ancient demon domain. There were three forces. There were two forces, and there was a third force, which was the extraterritorial race. The extraterritorial race referred to the experts from outside the ancient God domain and ancient demon domain, and they were all known as the extraterritorial race. Yang Hongwu also remembered this in his mind. The extraterritorial race was extremely powerful. In the past, they had forced the higher-ups of the ancient God domain and ancient demon domain to join forces to fight against the extraterritorial race. Of course, that was only the upper echelons of the celestial and infernal realms. Only those who had reached a certain level of strength would be able to come into contact with such information. In reality, the entire ancient God domain and ancient devil domain were combined together to form the Azure Dragon Dao region, and the humans within the Azure Dragon Dao region were collectively called the Azure Dragon Dao clan. Yang Hongwu was stunned when these memories flashed through his mind. He didn't expect there to be so much information. The myriad worlds that he was in was merely the Azure Dragon Dao territory. Whole the Azure Dragon Dao territory included the ancient God domain and the ancient demon domain. Due to the war between the ancient God domain and the ancient demon domain and the extraterritorial race, the so-called 13 divine domains and the so-called myriad worlds had appeared. Now what about Jiga? In fact, what about the various powerful continents in the myriad worlds? This made Yang Hongwu more and more confused. There were too few memories, and they were just fragments. However, these inexplicable fragments made Yang Hongwu very curious. He wanted to obtain the complete memories, but he was also worried and afraid. Taking a deep breath, he tossed all the memories aside. What's wrong with you? Zi Xintong asked. You said not to touch that guard, so I won't. Now that Yang Hongwu was like this, Zi Xintong was a little worried. Yang Hongwu came back to his senses and shook his head. It's nothing. That guard is not simple. Don't act rashly and alert him. Yang Hongwu guessed that the guard was very likely to be from the extraterritorial race. If that was the case, then there should be other extraterritorial race in the God domain. They were hiding in various corners of the God domain. It wouldn't be easy to find them. This seemed to involve an unprecedented war, and it was related to the life and death of the entire God domain. The conspiracy, seemed to be just the tip of the iceberg. Yang Hongwu's current strength was far from enough. He couldn't reach that level. He couldn't really come into contact with all of this. Your guess might be right. That guard is very likely to be from the extraterritorial race. Once you attack him, you might be exposed. That's why I told you not to act rashly. Yang Hongwu said. At this moment, an aura came from the ice shrine. The guard came out. The domain lord has let you in. After the guard came out, he said to Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong. Yang Hongwu was very surprised. He didn't expect that Hongwu was really the domain lord of the common people's God domain. The common people's Dao lord had passed the position of the domain lord to a sovereign realm warrior. It was too shocking. Moreover, he had asked him to come to the ice shrine. Could it be that he was the common people's Dao lord's son? No, this was just his guess. He was just curious. He didn't dare to show anything. Let's go and see the ice goddess. Yang Hongwu's lips curled up into a smile. It was getting more and more interesting. The ice goddess seemed to know that he was coming. Moreover, she seemed to be waiting for him. You can't wait? Zi Xintong said with jealousy. Her expression and tone showed that she was slightly unhappy. Yang Hongwu was speechless. Before he sent Hong Qiao to the common people's great world to cultivate, Zi Xintong wasn't like this. After Hong Xiao left, she seemed to have let go of herself and didn't have so many scruples. Yang Hongwu shook his head and retorted, "Explaining is hiding something. You just can't wait to see the beauty." Zi Xintong said, "You're such a playboy." Yang Hongwu was helpless and didn't explain anymore. Reason, it was always wrong and irrational for a woman to reason with her. Very soon, Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong entered the ice shrine. They came to an elegant place for cultivation. It was still covered in ice and snow, but it was magnificent. It was as if they had come to an ice and snow fairyland. Although it was covered in ice and snow, it didn't feel cold. On the contrary, it was very warm and comfortable. The surrounding spiritual energy was constantly flowing in. Although it was a pure white area, but after stepping through a space and entering a palace, there were birds chirping and flowers fragrant. It was as if they had come to another world. In the pavilion, a woman was sitting in the center. There was a zither in front of her. Her face couldn't be seen clearly. She seemed like an ordinary woman without a trace of cultivation. However, her temperament was very unique. Chapter 2109. Could it be that this woman was the ice goddess? Her aura was very similar. Of course, Yang Hongwu couldn't be sure. This woman was indeed powerful, but there were two powerful auras in the ice domain. This woman seemed to be hiding her own aura. As for whether she was the ice goddess or not, Yang Hongwu couldn't be 100% sure. But there was one thing that he was absolutely sure of. This woman definitely had an extremely high status in the ice domain. Mississippi, Yang Hongwu looked at the woman and said, "May I know where the ice goddess is?" "I am the ice goddess," the woman said. "You are the master of the common people domain." The woman turned around, revealing her face. It could be said that she was a peerless beauty, comparable to Zi Xintong. The only difference was that their auras were different. Zi Xintong was a witch, so the ice goddess in front of him was a cold and otherworldly fairy. "Yes," Yang Hongwu said. "As far as I know, the master of the common people domain is the common people Dao monarch. You're only a ruler. How did you become a master of the common people domain?" Ice Dance looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "Do you know that if you lie to me, the consequences will be severe?" "Of course not. I was just lucky to be recognized by the common people's god domain. That's how I became the master of the common people's god domain. As for cultivation, it doesn't seem to be everything, right? So you're saying that you are powerful enough?" "I don't think so," Ice Dance said. "However, your ability to deceive women is not weak. Even Zi Xintong, the princess of the demon domain, fell for you. You are really amazing." Hongwu smiled bitterly. This Ice Dance's mouth was unforgiving. "What? Does the ice goddess also want a man?" At this time, Zi Xintong said, "If you also like Yang Hongwu, I don't mind. You can call me sister." When Hongwu heard Zi Xintong say that, he was shocked. How could she say that? If Ice Dance was angry, he would be in big trouble. "You witch, you're the one who wants a man. As for me, I don't need a man. Even if I need a Dao companion, he must be strong enough, far stronger than me. As for Domain Lord Yang, your strength is far from enough." Ice Dance looked at Yang Hongwu and said. Yang Hongwu was speechless. In this woman's eyes, he was a gigolo who lived off a woman. The ice goddess's judgment. Zi Xintong chuckled and said, "I can't tell what kind of man Yang Hongwu is. Perhaps Yang Hongwu's current cultivation realm is not very high, but his strength and potential are far from being comparable to others. Even you, the ice goddess, are far from being comparable to him. I, Zi Xintong, have a good eye for people. How about we make a bet?" "No," Ice Dance said. "What? Does the grand ice goddess not dare?" Zi Xintong taunted. Yang Hongwu looked at the two women. How could they still want to compete at this time? "It's not that I don't dare. It's just that there's no need." Ice Dance shook her head. "You are a princess of the demon region. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you in my ice domain?" "You don't dare." Zi Xintong laughed. "Besides, you don't have the ability to do so. Are you provoking me?" Ice Dance's eyes flashed with a cold light. A powerful aura burst out from her body and enveloped Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong. At this moment, Ice Dance's strength was indeed terrifying. It was comparable to a half-step down master. Compared to Daoist Shuesong's aura, it was not weaker. Zi Xintong did not want to be outdone. She also released her aura and collided with Ice Dance's aura. "You two listen to me," Yang Hongwu said. He waved his hand and dissolved their aura. This move made Ice Dance have a whole new level of respect for him. Ice Dance was very clear about her own strength, and Zi Xintong was not weak either. Their aura was very terrifying. Even an ordinary Dao Lord would not be able to withstand the impact of their aura. It would be very difficult to dissolve their aura. However, Yang Hongwu just waved his hand and dissolved their aura effortlessly. This was not something an ordinary person could do. Yang Hongwu's strength was beyond her expectations. At this moment, the way she looked at Yang Hongwu changed. Namely, Ice Sacred Qin thought highly of Yang Hongwu. She did not think that Yang Hongwu was strong enough to be of help to her. However, Yang Hongwu's move shocked her. It seemed that what Qin said was true. Could it be that he's hiding his cultivation base? Shui also doubted this. If Yang Hongwu could really hide his cultivation base in front of her, then his cultivation base had to be at least higher than hers, unless his cultivation base had already surpassed the Dao Lord level. However, she didn't really believe this. If he really had surpassed the Dao Lord level, why would he need to do this? If he wanted to know something, or if he wanted to obtain something, there was no need for him to do this. How could an expert surpassing the Dao Lord level not have the dignity of an expert? Therefore, Ice Dance was certain that Yang Hongwu had not surpassed the Dao Lord level. Only she could not tell what level Yang Hongwu's cultivation base had reached. However, she did not believe that Yang Hongwu was an early-stage ruler. "All right, I will give face to Domain Lord Yang and not bicker with a witch like you." Ice Dance did not intend to fall out with Zi Xintong. She could tell that Zi Xintong was not someone to be trifled with. Moreover, she was the princess of the Sacred Devil Clan. The Sacred Devil Clan was not so simple. As the princess of the Sacred Devil Clan, she was naturally not simple. Clang. However, if Zi Xintong was like Zi Tian, eyeing the various god realms covetously, Zi Xintong might not be able to live so freely in the god realms. The various god realms. The experts of the Great Divine Domain also understood that Zi Xintong, the princess of the Devil Domain, wasn't on the same side as Zi Tian. Because of this, Zi Xintong hadn't been targeted by the experts of the Divine Domain. In addition, Zi Xintong's strength was also very strong, which allowed her to stay in the Divine Domain safely. Zi Xintong snorted and did not continue to target Ice Dance. She was not an unreasonable person. She knew that going too far was as bad as falling short. After all, the two of them had come to the God realms to ask for help. "Many thanks for your understanding," Yang Hongwu said. "Domain Lord Ice, I have come to the God realms to look for someone. I wonder if you can help me. If you can find someone, I will be eternally grateful." "Looking for someone?" Ice Dance was surprised. "Who are you looking for?" "Someone with a pure Yin body," Yang Hongwu said. Chapter 2110. To provide you with a wonderful novel to read. A person with a pure Yin constitution. Icy Dance looked at Yang Hongwu and asked, "Are you looking for a man or a woman?" "A woman, of course," Yang Hongwu said. "Are you looking for a woman with a pure Yin constitution to use as a cultivation vessel?" Icy Dance looked at Yang Hongwu with hostility. She was a woman, and she was very disgusted by people who used her as a cultivation vessel. Although she knew that many cultivators in the world of cultivation like to use cultivation vessels, and it was a very normal thing, in the Dominion of Ice, it was a very serious problem if someone used a woman as a cultivation vessel to cultivate. The entire Dominion of Ice forbade this practice. Anyone who was discovered to be using such a cultivation method would be hunted down by the Shrine of Ice and become the public enemy of the entire Dominion of Ice. Therefore, in the Dominion of Ice, it was extremely rare to use a cauldron for cultivation. There were only a few exceptions. "Of course not." Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, "With my current cultivation, I don't need a cultivation vessel." The person I'm looking for is my Tao companion, not her. Icy Dance's expression eased when she heard Yang Hongwu's words. In truth, Icy Dance was a purine. When she was young, she was almost taken away as a cultivation vessel. If it weren't for her good luck, she would have been saved by the Shrine of Ice. If the Shrine of Ice had been saved by her master, she would have been gone by now. Therefore, she was very disgusted by people who dare to take others as cultivation vessels. It was also because of this that after she became the ruler of the Dominion of Ice, no one in the Dominion of Ice dared to take women as cultivation vessels. What's the name of your Tao companion? What does she look like? Icy Dance asked. If you don't tell me, how can I help you find her? Yang Hongwu was about to speak when Icy Dance paused and said, I know of a person who is a pure Yin constitution. She was taken away as a cultivation vessel. Yang Hongwu's expression changed when he heard this. Where? On the Ice Dragon Mountain. Bing Shui Wu said, In my Ice Snow Dominion, there are very few people who dare to risk universal condemnation and snatch women as cultivation furnaces. However, there is one exception, and that is the Ice Dragon Mountain. That Ice Dragon Mountain is not under my control. Its strength is not ordinary. Fan, I am unable to destroy the Ice Dragon Mountain. A year ago, a woman with a pure body was captured by the Ice Dragon Mountain. Where is the Ice Dragon Mountain? A cold light flashed in Yang Hongwu's eyes. A year ago, the time was very suitable. If it was really one of Hu Xiu'er and the others, then the Ice Dragon Mountain would be destroyed. Ice Dragon Mountain is located to the west of the Frost Dominion. It's an ancient secret realm, and the master of Ice Dragon Mountain is incredibly powerful. His name is Tao Lord Ice Dragon, and he's a primordial ice dragon who has attained the Tao. Rumor has it that Tao Lord Ice Dragon has reached the supreme Tao Lord level in power. Feng is only one step away from becoming a half-step Tao Master, Ice Dance said. Ice Dragon Mountain was the only place in the entire Frost Dominion that she could not control. It had always been a thorn in her heart. Moreover, she needed to enter the Holy Land of Ice to reach the next level. Only then would she be able to obtain the inheritance of the Ice Dominion and truly control it. Right now, she could only be considered half the ruler of the Ice Dominion. She couldn't fully control it. It was a Frost Dominion. If she wanted to truly control the Frost Dominion and reach a higher level, she had to enter the Sacred Land of Ice. To do so, she had to break the seal of Ice Dragon Mountain, which was right outside the entrance of the Sacred Land of Ice. Tao Lord Ice Dragon had sealed it. With this passage, Tao Lord Ice Dragon would not be able to enter and obtain the inheritance of the Frost Dominion. Because of this, Ice Dragon Mountain and the Shrine of Ice had always been sworn enemies. Although the Shrine of Ice had the upper hand in the confrontation, it was not by much. If they attacked Ice Dragon Mountain forcefully, they might not be able to gain the upper hand. In the beginning, Qin Air, the Snow Saint, did not believe that Yang Hongwu could help her enter the Sacred Land of Ice. After all, Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only at the Sovereign Realm. If they fought against Ice Dragon Mountain, Yang Hongwu was just one more person. A Sovereign Realm expert could not change the situation at all, unless Yang Hongwu's strength reached the Tao Lord Realm. Of course, if Zi Xintong was willing to help, they might have a chance. After all, Zi Xintong was very powerful. If they were not in the Frost Dominion, Ice Dance might not be able to defeat her. It was also because of this that Ice Dance did not fight with Zi Xintong, even though she was the princess of the Demon Domain. Half-step Tao Master? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. She was indeed powerful. If she had really reached the level of a half-step Tao Master, it would be somewhat troublesome. However, since her cultivation had not reached the level of a half-step Tao Master, then he would still have a chance. Ice Dragon Mountain is a force in my Dominion of Ice that is not under my control. My Shrine of Ice has always wanted to eradicate it. If Dominator Yang is willing, you and I can join hands. This will be beneficial to both of us. After all, Ice Dragon Mountain is our common enemy, said Ice Dance. Wait. At this moment, Zi Xintong spoke. She looked at Ice Dance and said, Who knows if what you said is true? Ice Dragon Mountain is the enemy of the Shrine of Ice. It is not an exaggeration to say that they are the cancer of the Frost Dominion. Even though the Shrine of Ice is powerful, you are unable to eliminate them. This time, you said that Ice Dragon Mountain captured a woman with a pure body. Who can prove this point? Who can guarantee that you're not deliberately saying this to make us go against Ice Dragon Mountain? What if we offend a powerful power? Ice Dance's face turned slightly ugly when she heard this. She stared at Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong and said, "You suspect that I am using you? I am the Lord of the Frost Dominion. Why would I need to use you? If you really think so, then you can leave. I won't hold it against you for offending me." The Ice Goddess was really angry at this moment. She did not expect Zi Xintong to say such words. Of course, she did have the intention of using Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong to deal with Ice Dragon Mountain. However, what she said was true. Ice Dragon Mountain had indeed captured a woman with a pure body a year ago. Ice Dragon Mountain was the lord of Ice Dragon Mountain. She was captured so that Ice Dragon Mountain could use her as a cultivation vessel. "Don't be angry, Lord Ice Dragon," Yang Hongwu hurriedly said. "She's just worried about me. She didn't do it on purpose." Yang Hongwu did not want to fall out with Ice Dance at this time. Moreover, regardless of whether Ice Dance was telling the truth or not, he had to break into Ice Dragon Mountain to investigate. After all, this concerned the safety of Hu Xiao and the others. He also believed that Ice Dance would not lie. After all, there was no need for her to lie. Mobile users, please browse. If you want to chat about the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people, follow Excellent Reading Literature on WeChat. Chat about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 2111. In the end, Yang Hongwu and Bing Shuewu reached an agreement to attack Ice Dragon Mountain together. After all, Ice Dragon Mountain was very powerful. If Bing Shuewu and Yang Hongwu attacked Ice Dragon Mountain alone, they wouldn't be able to gain an advantage. Therefore, the best way was to join forces. When we set off, the sooner, the better. "We can do it now," Yang Hongwu said. "Let's prepare first." Hearing Yang Hongwu being so anxious, Bing Shuewu said. She didn't expect Yang Hongwu to be so anxious. The sooner, the better. If we delay, she'll be more of a threat. Yang Hongwu said, "As for preparation, I don't think we need to prepare anything. We can just kill our way in. Ice Dragon Mountain isn't as simple as you think. If it was so easy, I wouldn't have been helpless against it." Bing Shuewu couldn't help but say, when she heard Yang Hongwu's words, "You have to be prepared for everything. Bing Shuewu, never fight a battle that I'm not confident in. If I fail, it won't be a small matter. As the saying goes, sharpening the knife won't delay the work of cutting wood. You should know this principle, right? Besides, your Tao companion has been captured by Ice Dragon Mountain for more than a year. It won't make a difference if you wait a little longer, right?" "I don't want to delay a moment," Yang Hongwu said. "I know you're worried about your Tao companion. Don't worry, you don't have to worry. Ice Dragon Tao Monarch is at a critical moment in his cultivation. He'll use your Tao companion as a cultivation cauldron in half a month. Half a month later is the most important moment for Ice Dragon Tao Monarch's cultivation. All this time, Ice Dragon Tao Monarch has been searching for a suitable cultivation cauldron in the Divine Realm for half a month. That's the most important day in the Divine Realm of Ice and also the coldest day." Bing Shuewu said, "That day only appears once in 1,000 years in the entire Divine Realm of Ice." Hearing this, Yang Hongwu let out a sigh of relief. If that was the case, it would be fine. Yang Hongwu really didn't want to see his woman get hurt. Of course, at this point, it did not matter whether the person captured by Tao Lord Ice Dragon was his woman or not. It was the same for other naked women. He had to rescue them. Ice people like Tao Lord Long deserved to die. The next day, Icy Dance led the experts of the Shrine of Ice to the outskirts of Ice Dragon Mountain in a grandiose manner. All along, Ice Dragon Mountain had been a thorn in the side of the Shrine of Ice. They had attacked Ice Dragon Mountain many times, but none of them succeeded. But this time, Ice Dance, the Domain Master, personally led an army to attack Ice Dragon Mountain. The righteous experts of the entire Ice Dominion had already moved out. At this moment, Ice Dragon Mountain was completely surrounded. Yang Hongwu finally understood why Icy Dance said she needed time to prepare. She was preparing to mobilize all the experts in the Ice Dominion to attack the Ice Dragon Mountain. This was not strange. The Ice Goddess is here. Who is that man beside the Snow Goddess? He's a mere ruler, but he's following the Ice Goddess. It seems their relationship isn't shallow. When Yang Hongwu and Icy Dance appeared, everyone began to discuss spiritedly. They were very curious about Yang Hongwu. Could it be that he's the Ice Goddess gigolo? Nonsense. How could the Ice Goddess have a gigolo? That person's words immediately infuriated everyone. In the Ice Dragon Mountain, in the cultivation world, men had groups of wives and concubines. It wasn't strange for female experts to have gigolos. However, the latter was still in the minority. That's right. That person should have some special background. I recognize that woman. At this moment, another person spoke. Isn't that woman the princess of the demon region? She really is the demon princess? Hearing their words, Yang Hongwu turned to Zixintong and said, "What if your identity is exposed?" So what? Zixintong didn't care in the slightest. Could it be that these small fries would dare to attack me? Yang Hongwu was speechless. At that moment, a powerful aura appeared. A purple-robed man flew over and stared at Zixintong. "Demoness, hand over your life today." "Stop." Before Zixintong could do anything, Icy Dance was furious. With a wave of her hand, she casually blocked the purple-robed man's attack. "Are you trying to stop me from taking my revenge? This is a battle between me and the demon princess. Are you going to wallow in the mire with the demon realm?" The purple-robed man looked at Icy Dance. His words were sharp and unforgiving. "Chen Zihua, do you know what you're saying? I can understand that your Chun clan was annihilated by the demon realm. If you want revenge, you can go to the demon realm. But what are you trying to do by causing trouble in my Ice Dominion? Do you really think that Icy Dance, am a pushover?" Icy Dance said coldly. Chen Zihua was the patriarch of a large clan located at the border between the Flame Dominion, Ice Dominion, and the demon realm. When Zitian, the ruler of the demon realm, had attacked the god realm, he'd wiped out Chen Zihua's entire clan, leaving behind only Chen Zihua. Chen Zihua's strength was at the peak of the sovereign realm, a half-stepped lord. It was almost impossible for him to take revenge on Zitian. The difference in strength was too great. All this time, he had not been able to improve his strength, and he could not break through to the Dao Lord realm. Now, he'd seen Zixintong. She was the princess of the demon realm. Almost all of the experts of the Ice Dominion had appeared, as well as a few experts from outside. However, every god realm, including the Ice Dominion, was an enemy of the demon realm. He knew full well that he wouldn't be able to take revenge on his own, much less kill his way into the demon realm. Zixintong was an excellent opportunity. Killing Zixintong, the princess of the Devil Domain, would surely infuriate the Devil Lord, Zitian. Killing Zixintong would relieve some of the hatred in his heart. Clang! Of course, he knew that Zixintong was very strong. As the princess of a demon realm, how could she be weak? However, he still had a chance. As long as the experts of the Ice Dominion attacked together, they'd be able to kill Zixintong. That had been his plan from the start. "Everyone, this princess of the Devil region is running amok in our deity domain. Countless people from our deity domain have died at the hands of the Devil race. Kill this princess of the Devil region and avenge those who have died." Chen Zihua shouted. "You're just courting death." Ice Dance hadn't wanted to be angry, but Chen Zihua still dared to scheme against her and mobilize the experts of the Ice Dominion to attack Zixintong. How could she not be angry? Ice, the terrifying power that Shui Wu erupted with, instantly sent Chen Zihua flying. "Domain Lord Ice, are you colluding with the demon realm? You're trying to stop us from killing the princess of the demon realm? What are your intentions?" Chen Zihua shouted. "Ice Dance, have you already submitted to the demon realm?" Chapter 21:12. Bastard. Chen Zihua, how dare you frame the Domain Lord? What are your intentions? Bing Fengling, an elder of the Shrine of Ice, shouted furiously at Chen Zihua. The other elders of the Shrine of Ice glared at Chen Zihua as well. This was slander against the Shrine of Ice. After all, Bing Fengling was the Hall Master of the Shrine of Ice and the Domain Lord of the Ice Dominion. She represented the Shrine of Ice and the entire Ice Dominion. Slandering Bing Fengling was equivalent to slandering the Shrine of Ice and the Domain Lord of the Ice Dominion. It was tantamount to going against the entire Ice Dominion. How could they tolerate this? Therefore, before Bing Fengling could say anything, the Shrine of Ice was already enraged. As a member of the Shrine of Ice, Bing Fengling's prestige and status in the Shrine of Ice was extremely high. Now that Chen Zihua was slandering Bing Fengling, it was tantamount to slandering the entire Ice Dominion and making an enemy out of the entire Ice Dominion. Domain Lord, I'll go kill him. This bastard dares to slander you. He's courting death. Bing Fengling said to Bing Fengling, are you trying to silence him? Chen Zihua couldn't help but ask. If the entire Shrine of Ice were to attack, he really wouldn't be able to withstand it. After all, his strength hadn't reached the Downlord realm. Even if he was a half-step Downlord, he wouldn't be able to withstand the might of the Shrine of Ice. Silence him? Bing Fengling coldly snorted and stopped him. She looked at him coldly and said, you're not worthy. Let me do it, Zi Xintong said. She stared at Chen Zihua, her eyes flickering with cold light. You just want to avenge your Qin clan? Then come at me. I didn't kill your Qin clan, yet you're trying to frame me. Do you think I, Zi Xintong, am someone you can afford to provoke? Zi Xintong leaped into the air. She was like a peerless ancient god. An enormous aura erupted from her. Her long hair fluttered in the wind and her dress swayed. She stood there like an unshakable mountain. How terrifying was her strength. Everyone couldn't help but take a few steps back under her powerful aura. Everyone's expression changed drastically. How terrifying was Zi Xintong's strength. Edison Shi was a Downlord, and only those who had reached the half-step Downlord level would be able to withstand her terrifying aura. Weaker cultivators would find it hard to breathe under the pressure of her aura. Especially Chen Zihua. Her expression changed greatly. She did not expect Zi Xintong's strength to be so terrifying. Even if all of the people present were to join hands, they might not necessarily be a match for her. Of course, that was unless Xue Xingwu was to join the battle. If Xue Xingwu did not join the battle, Zi Xintong's might was absolutely unrivaled. Judging from the current situation, how could Snow Dance possibly attack him? How's therefore, if Zi Xintong wanted to attack him, he wouldn't be able to defend himself. Only death would await him. At that moment, he regretted his decision. However, it was too late for regrets. If he knelt down and begged for mercy now, he would lose a lot of face. How would he be able to establish himself in the deity domain in the future? However, if he didn't beg for mercy, he would die. Escape, however. After seeing Zi Xintong's terrifying strength, he knew very well that even if he wanted to escape, he wouldn't have any chance. His only chance of survival was to drag Xue Xingwu down with him and have her attack. If she didn't, then he could only rely on Ice Dragon Mountain. Ice Dragon Mountain had many experts, and this time, it was Xue Xingwu who had attacked Ice Dragon Mountain. She was Ice Dragon Mountain's enemy. Only with the help of Ice Dragon Mountain's experts would he have a chance of survival. This was the only chance he had of survival. Because if he wanted to live, he couldn't care less. Icy Dance, you have allied yourself with the demons. Even if you kill me, the experts of Elysium won't let you off. People of the Shrine of Ice, could it be that you're also willing to ally yourself with the demons? Chen Zihua berated loudly. What demon? Zi Xintong sneered. Do you think I'm a demon just because you say so? I, Zi Xintong, am a person who will repay kindness and take revenge. I won't attack the innocent. The blood on my hands can't compare to yours. As she spoke, Zi Xintong berated. Chen Zihua Zi Xintong's consciousness blurred. It was the demonic sage voice. It was a secret technique that Zi Xintong had inherited. It could control the consciousness of others. Of course, those who were strong and determined wouldn't be affected. However, Chen Zihua was different. Her mind wasn't strong enough, and her foundation wasn't stable. How could she withstand Zi Xintong's demonic sage voice? At this moment, Zi Xintong lost her sense of self. Chen Zihua, how many innocent people have you killed in your life? How many crimes have you committed? Asked Zi Xintong. Chen Zihua was in a daze. Too many. I don't remember. I only remember the He family of the Ice Divine region and the Zone family of the Flame Divine region. Those two families were destroyed by me. Everyone was in an uproar. Look, Chen Zihua couldn't believe it. She hadn't thought that the He family and the Zone family weren't destroyed by the demons, but by Chen Zihua. Damn it, a thief calling the police. This bastard is the murderer. At this moment, everyone was filled with righteous indignation. They looked at Chen Zihua with murderous intent. Zi Xintong released her control over Chen Zihua. Although Zi Xintong had taken control of Zi Xintong, her consciousness was still clear. She knew what she had done. At this moment, she shouted, "No, it wasn't me. This which used a demonic technique to control me. That's easy." Yang Hongwu stepped forward. It's easy to know if it's true or not. This is the Red Lotus Karmic Fire. If you don't have enough karmic energy on you, it won't be a threat to you. As he spoke, Yang Hongwu waved his hand, and a ball of flame appeared in his hand. The flame kept dancing like a spirit. Red Lotus Karmic Fire. It's really the Red Lotus Karmic Fire. Heavens, he actually has the Red Lotus Karmic Fire. No wonder the Ice Goddess values him so much, even though he's a mere sovereign. Many people took a few steps back when they saw the ball of fire in Yang Hongwu's hand. In reality, the Red Lotus Karmic Fire was too terrifying. There weren't many people who didn't have karmic energy on them. After all, on the path of cultivation, how could one grow without killing? Therefore, no matter who it was, they would always have karmic energy on them. For those who had karmic energy, it would be terrifying if they were tainted by the Red Lotus Karmic Fire. At this moment, Chen Zihua also took a few steps back. Looking at the Red Lotus Karmic Fire in Yang Hongwu's hand, she was shocked and angry. How could she not know what she had done? Once she was tainted by the karmic fire, she would definitely die. You're all in cahoots. Who will believe you? Moreover, who would dare to taint this fire? In the ice domain, everyone cultivates the Yin attribute cultivation technique. Who doesn't know that it's incompatible with the power of fire? Chen Zihua shouted. Chapter 21:13. This matter started because of me, so I'll deal with it. Look, most xin greater than over equal to zhuang byte greater than over equal to 100 degree. Search. Sua. Sua. Item. Sua. Book. Sua. Sua. Zi Xintong spoke to Yang Hongwu. She was extremely touched that Yang Hongwu would protect her like this. Zi Xintong didn't want Yang Hongwu to reveal too much. After all, they still had a formidable enemy hiding in the shadows, and that was the exalted Tao Defiance. They didn't know when that fellow would show himself. If Yang Hongwu revealed too much of his trump cards, then the exalted Tao Defiance might seize an opportunity to attack him, and that was something that Zi Xintong didn't want to see happen. As for Chen Zihua, Zi Xintong didn't care about him at all. Everything was useless before absolute strength. No matter how many reasons and explanations one had, everything was useless if one didn't possess sufficient strength. Chen Zihua, do you think anyone can protect you? Zi Xintong gazed coldly at Chen Zihua and said, "No one can save you today. Let me tell you that everything is useless before absolute strength. Not to mention that I, Zi Xintong, don't need to explain myself. Once one's cultivation reaches a certain level, one disdains to argue." As she spoke, Zi Xintong instantly erupted. She vanished on the spot in the blink of an eye, and then she appeared by Chen Zihua's side in the next moment and grabbed him by the neck. Chen Zihua's face was ghastly pale. His throat was choked, and he couldn't speak at all. His cultivation had been sealed, so he didn't have the ability to resist at all. Only now did he realize that he'd made a huge mistake. He was only at the ruler realm, and he was far from the Tao Monarch realm. He didn't know how terrifying a Tao Monarch was. Everyone beneath the Tao Monarch realm was an ant, And that wasn't just empty talk. Crack. A crisp sound resounded as Chun Zihua was killed by Zi Xintong. It was like she'd crushed an ant, and he was killed with ease. Even his soul had been obliterated, and he didn't even have the chance to reincarnate, let alone take revenge. Everyone took a few steps back when they saw this scene, and they felt a chill run down their backs. Domineering. This princess of the demon region was truly domineering enough. However, she also possessed sufficient strength. In reality, everyone present knew very well that once one's cultivation reached a certain level, one would disdain lying. This was especially true for Dao Lord experts. All right, that annoying fly has been slapped to death. Zi Xintong scanned the crowd and asked, "Who else wants to slay this demon?" Everyone present was shocked and retreated again. In the entire battlefield, the only person capable of contending against Zi Xintong was Snow Dance. As for the others, TSK, they were truly no match for Zi Xintong. At this moment, everyone finally understood that this princess of the demon region was truly powerful. Most likely, in the entire deity domain, only the domain lords of the various deity domains could contend against her. The others were simply no match for her. "Come, let's enter Ice Dragon Mountain," Snow Dance said. "Shrine of Ice, follow me into Ice Dragon Mountain." "Yes, Hall Master." Upon hearing this, the Shrine of Ice's members followed behind Snow Dance. In front of Snow Dance was the vanguard of the Shrine of Ice. These were Snow Dance's divine ice guards. The divine ice guards were extremely powerful. Even the weakest of them was a late-stage ruler. It could be said that they were the strongest force in the Shrine of Ice apart from those old antiques. In the entire Dominion of Ice, almost no power could resist the divine ice guards once they were mobilized. Of course, that was excluding Ice Dragon Mountain. However, although Snow Dance had attacked Ice Dragon Mountain a few times before and had mobilized her divine ice guards, she hadn't gone all out because she didn't have enough confidence. She had only launched probing attacks. Now, with the help of Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong, she was more than confident in taking Ice Dragon Mountain. At this moment, in the main hall of Ice Dragon Mountain, a white-robed man sat upright in the main hall. This person was none other than the Lord of Ice Dragon Mountain, Dao Monarch Ice Dragon. Of course, this was only one of Dao Monarch Ice Dragon's incarnations. His true body was at a critical moment in his cultivation, preparing for the upcoming day of extreme Een. Snow Dance is really bold. She actually dares to find trouble with me at a critical moment in my cultivation. She's courting death. Dao Monarch Ice Dragon's eyes flashed with a cold light. He knew how powerful Snow Dance was. As the Dominion Lord of the Dominion of Ice, she was naturally very powerful. However, if Snow Dance wasn't the Dominion Lord of the Dominion of Ice, she wouldn't be his match at all. Dao Monarch Ice Dragon's ambition was great. He had once wanted to take control of the entire Dominion of Ice and become its ruler. However, the Shrine of Ice wasn't weak either. The Hall Master of the Shrine of Ice controlled the origin of the Dominion of Ice, making it impossible for him to face the Hall Master of Ice head-on. All this time, he could only hide in Ice Dragon Mountain. Back then, if the Hall Master of the Shrine of Ice wasn't afraid of him destroying Ice Dragon Mountain and perishing with the entire Dominion of Ice, he would have killed him. Dao Monarch Ice Dragon was well aware of this. Now, that old thing was no longer around. Although his disciple Snow Dance's strength wasn't bad, there was still a big gap between her and that old thing. However, he still couldn't defeat Snow Dance and take control of the Dominion of Ice. Now, all he had to do was wait for the day of extreme frost to break through the bottleneck. His strength would increase greatly, and he would be able to reach a higher level. When that time came, how could Snow Dance be his match? Master, the Shrine of Ice's people have already appeared outside Ice Dragon Mountain. They want to barge in. How should we deal with them? Should we fight? At this moment, the half-step Dao Monarch cultivator half-knelt on the ground and asked Dao Monarch Ice Dragon. No. Dao Monarch Ice Dragon shook his head. I want to close the door and beat the dog. If Snow Dance personally takes action, you won't be able to deal with her. Even I can't take her down. The only way is to lure her in. Yes, my lord. At this moment, the people outside Ice Dragon Mountain didn't stop them and directly let them in. This degree of ease was very surprising. They actually didn't stop them and retreated. Seeing this scene, the people of the Shrine of Ice were shocked. The more it was like this, the more worried they became. They were worried that this was a trap. Hall Master, the captain of the Divine Ice Guards, came in front of Snow Dance and said, "Shouldn't we be more careful? This time, Ice Dragon Mountain doesn't have any defenses. We didn't encounter any resistance at all. I'm afraid there's a trap." "So what if it's a trap?" Snow Dance said coldly. "In the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks are empty words. There's no need to worry. Let's continue forward." "Yes, Hall Master. Wait." At this moment, Yang Hongwu spoke up. "Why don't you let me scout the way?" "No." Zi Shintong spoke up to stop him. Zi Shintong felt a special power. This power made her heart throb. This was an ominous sign. If you want to talk about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people, follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find confidence. Chapter 21:14. Don't worry, I'm fine. Yang Hanwu knew that Zi Shintong was worried about him. So he smiled and said to Zi Shintong, "I'm confident. I have a bad premonition in my heart. There's a great terror hidden in this Ice Dragon Mountain." Zi Shintong looked at Yang Hongwu and said in a very serious tone, "Trust me, my intuition has never been wrong. There's something in this Ice Dragon Mountain that can threaten our lives." For Zi Shintong, there weren't many people in the divine domain who could threaten her life, and there were even fewer who could threaten Yang Hongwu and her at the same time. After all, the two of them were already very strong, and their means of escaping were even more astonishing. Even if they couldn't defeat the enemy, escaping shouldn't be a problem. But this time, Zi Shintong actually felt an indescribable throbbing. This wasn't a joke. Even if I'm in danger, if I can't defeat the enemy, escaping is completely not a problem. Moreover, they're very important to me. If I can even abandon my own women because of danger, what kind of man am I? Yang Hanwu patted Zi Shintong's shoulder lightly, then turned and walked towards the Ice Dragon Mountain. At this moment, Yang Hongwu no longer concealed his powerful strength. After all, if Zi Shintong could feel the danger, how could he not feel it? He also felt a great threat, but at the same time, Yang Hongwu also felt an aura that couldn't be more familiar. Because of this familiar aura, Yang Hongwu knew that this place was a mountain of blades and a sea of flames, a dragon's pool and a tiger's den. It was full of danger, but he still had to enter. "You're so worried about him?" Shui Shintong looked at Zi Shintong and said, "Don't worry. Although his strength isn't that great, my people will protect him." Shui Wu naturally didn't know how strong Yang Hongwu was. Although she also felt a trace of threat, in her opinion, this was very normal. After all, Ice Dragon Tao Lord's strength was also very strong. But this was his nest. If it wasn't a powerful force, this Ice Dragon Mountain would have been removed from the ice domain long ago. Zi Shintong looked at Shui Wu's divine ice guards. Although these guards' strength wasn't bad, they could be considered experts in the Ice Dragon Tao Lord's domain. But in the face of a true expert, they were just ants. These people, not to mention those terrifying experts, even if they were experts, they wouldn't even be able to resist ordinary experts. Shui didn't care about the disdain in Zi Shintong's eyes. She smiled and said, "Don't underestimate them. Although they haven't reached the Tao Lord realm, their combat strength is shocking. Moreover, they can use a combination attack. The combat strength of this combination attack is enough to fight against the Tao Lord. Even if the opponent is a peak Tao Lord, they can still resist for a while." Snow Dance was very confident. Ice. How? These divine ice guards were the cream of the crop. They were one of the trump cards of the Shrine of Ice. If they were so easily eliminated, then they wouldn't be trump cards anymore. Peak Tao Lord. Zi Shintong shook her head. If the threat is really just a peak Tao Lord, I don't need to worry. Shui was very surprised. A peak Tao Lord was a very strong existence in the Ice Dragon Tao Lord's domain. Even if a peak Tao Lord wasn't a threat, could it be a half-step Tao Lord expert? Although Ice Dragon Tao Lord's strength was strong, he still hadn't reached the half-step Tao Lord level. In Shui Wu's memory, Ice Dragon Tao Lord's strength was only at the late-stage Tao Lord level. He was only able to run rampant because of the Eternal Dragon Gate. Although Ice Dragon Tao Lord is strong, he shouldn't be able to reach the half-step Tao Lord level in such a short time, Shui Wu said. You don't know. Zi Xintong looked at Yang Hongwu's back and said, the enemy we have to face is much more terrifying than you think. Shui Wu fell into deep thought. It seemed that she had fallen into a great danger. Joining forces with Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong didn't seem to be a good thing. She thought that joining forces with Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong to attack Ice Dragon Mountain was a good thing. But from Zi Xintong's words, she heard some information. Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong seemed to have a strong enemy who was at least a half-step Tao Lord. This was troublesome. However, even though she was doubtful, she didn't regret it. After all, the Snow Saint, Qin had said that Yang Hongwu could help her enter the sacred domain of snow. If she wanted to become the true controller of the snow domain and enter the ancient god domain, then she had to enter the sacred domain of snow and conquer Ice Dragon Mountain. She couldn't defeat Ice Dragon Tao Lord with her strength alone. She had to borrow the strength of others. Once she entered the snow domain, her strength would be greatly improved. Once she reached the half-step Tao Lord level, there would be almost no one in the entire god domain who could threaten her. Entering the snow domain was too important for her. It was worth it to pay a price to enter it. At this moment, Yang Hongwu had already entered Ice Dragon Mountain. Inside, a huge palace appeared in front of him. In front of the palace were ancient statues of dragons. Ice Dragon Colossus. These Ice Dragon Colossus exuded a powerful aura. This was the Dragon Aura. The divine ice guards following behind him felt extremely pressured under the terrifying dragon might. Their brows were already covered in sweat. My lord, should we wait? One of the ice divine guards came to Yang Hongwu and asked. Yang Hongwu's status was very high. In addition, Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong's strength were so powerful that they couldn't ignore them. Moreover, Shui Wu had already instructed them to protect Yang Hongwu. They naturally didn't dare to disobey Yang Hongwu's opinion. Yang Hongwu waved his hand. Yang Hongwu was able to make out some clues from the numerous ice dragon statues. Ice. Tao Lord Dragon Tao Lord was indeed an expert. He was a dragon expert, and his bloodline was very powerful. However, there was still a big gap between him and Yang Hongwu. However, Yang Hongwu knew that the real threat wasn't Tao Lord Ice Dragon. It was the unknown threat hidden in the depths. That was the truly terrifying and fatal one. If he wasn't careful, he might fall here. Chapter 21:15. One amazing great ice dragon array. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes and looked at the great ice dragon array. There seemed to be something hidden within it. There was a door. Others couldn't see this ancient bronze door, but Yang Hongwu could see that the hidden threat came from this ancient bronze door. What kind of terrifying existence was hidden under the great ice dragon array? Why did it make his heart palpitate? A great array was used to suppress. Given Tao Lord Ice Dragon's strength, he probably wasn't strong enough to set up such a great array, right? This was also something that made Yang Hongwu very puzzled. The divine realm was really getting more and more complicated. The deity domain seemed to be far more complicated than what he had seen. Right now, what the deity domain had shown him was only the tip of the iceberg. Ice. Tao Lord Ice Dragon saw Yang Hongwu's existence through an ancient mirror. After entering the great ice dragon array, he could see that the ancient mirror and the great ice dragon array seemed to be one. Yang Hongwu also sensed that someone was watching him. This was something that Yang Hongwu's senses were very strong. As long as there was a little bit of it, he would be able to sense it. This brat actually broke into the great ice dragon array. He's courting death. A cold light flashed in Tao Lord Ice Dragon's eyes. However, he didn't immediately activate the Great Ice Dragon Array. If he did so, he would only be able to kill Yang Hongwu. In that case, it wouldn't be a threat to Xue Xue and the others. After all, Xue Xue and the others weren't fools. If they knew that there was a great array inside, would they still choose to enter it? To Tao Lord Ice Dragon, Yang Hongwu was just a mere sovereign realm cultivator. Such a cultivation base was like an ant to him. He didn't care at all. The enemies he really cared about were Xue Xue and Zi Xintong, the princess of the demon domain. Only these two people were true Tao lords and were existences that Tao Lord Ice Dragon believed could contend against him. As for the others, they were all ants. As long as one of these two people entered the Great Ice Dragon Array, he would immediately activate this terrifying Great Array. This Great Array was something that no one could resist. Yang Hongwu knew that someone was paying attention to this place. When he entered the Great Ice Dragon Array, the other party didn't activate the array. Yang Hongwu knew that the other party was waiting. Of course, the other party wasn't waiting for him. Although the strength of these divine ice guards was not bad, it could be said that they were considered top-notch forces in the divine dominion. However, these ice snow guards were completely incomparable to Tao lords. Then I'll let him in. Of course, there was indeed a terrifying existence sealed under the Great Ice Dragon Array. However, since he had entered this place, he definitely wouldn't let that terrifying existence rush out in a short period of time. This was also something that Yang Hongwu had considered. However, what Yang Hongwu wanted to know was whether Tao Lord Ice Dragon knew what kind of existence was sealed under the Great Ice Dragon Array. If he knew, how could he let go of such a terrifying threat? Yang Hongwu didn't think that Tao Lord Ice Dragon could control such a terrifying existence. If Tao Lord Ice Dragon could really control it, not to mention the Shrine of Ice, even the entire Dominion of Ice would have fallen into his hands long ago. Perhaps even the entire Dominion of Ice would be under his control. That was what was truly terrifying. After all, that thing was too great a threat. It was too terrifying. Even though it was sealed, Yang Hongwu still felt threatened. Hongwu also believed that Tao Lord Ice Dragon wouldn't be so foolish as to let it out despite knowing that there was a terrifying existence below. Wouldn't that be suicide? It wasn't that Tao Lord Ice Dragon had already reached the point of despair and knew that he was going to die without a doubt. That was also possible. Therefore, at this moment, Yang Hongwu also thought of this point. This was exactly what he was worried about. It wouldn't be so easy to kill Tao Lord Ice Dragon now. However, it would be extremely difficult to kill Tao Lord Ice Dragon without even having the chance to die with him. There's indeed a terrifying array here. This array is probably one of Tao Lord Ice Dragon's trump cards. This is the Great Ice Dragon Array. If I'm not wrong, this is the Great Ice Dragon Array of the ancient Ice Dragon clan. It's very powerful. Yang Hongwu transmitted his voice to Zi Xintong and Xue Xingwu. The Great Ice Dragon Array of the ancient Ice Dragon clan? Xue Xingwu asked. Rumor has it that Tao Lord Ice Dragon is a descendant of the Great Ice Dragon clan. Could it be true? Zi Xintong said, do you have a way to break the Great Ancient Ice Dragon Array? Naturally, it's not a problem to break it. However, there seems to be something hidden under this array that can't be released. Once the seal is broken, that thing won't be so easy to deal with. Yang Hongwu said, this is Tao Lord Ice Dragon's trump card. No matter what it is, Ice Dragon Mountain must be eliminated. Even if we have to pay a price, it's fine. Xue Xingwu's eyes flashed with intense, killing intent. To her, Tao Lord Ice Dragon had to die. Ice Dragon Mountain must be taken down because she had a reason to take it down. She wanted to enter the Ice Sacred Realm, and Ice Dragon Mountain was the entrance. Pay a price? Yang Hongwu shook his head with a wry smile and transmitted his voice. It's not that simple. No one can control that thing. I don't know anything else, but one thing I'm sure of is that this Ice Dragon Great Formation wasn't set up by Ice Dragon Tao Monarch. It was set up to seal the thing below. It's a great formation that was left behind since ancient times. Ice Dragon, Dao Monarch, probably obtained some special inheritance and established his own force on this Ice Dragon mountain. It's just a coincidence that he's unable to control the thing below the formation. Therefore, we have to be on guard against this and never let the thing under the seal break out. Are you sure? Shuexingwu didn't trust Yang Hongwu as much as Zi Xintong. She doubted Yang Hongwu's words. I don't need to lie to you. It won't do me any good. Of course, since I dare to let you come with me, I naturally have the confidence to stop Dao, Lord Ice Dragon. I plan to beat him at his own game and lure him out. Otherwise, if he hides in the dark, it'll be very difficult for us to catch him. Yang Hongwu explained. At this moment, the voice of the snow, sacred zither rang in Shuexingwu's mind. Shuexingwu, promise him. He could do it. All right, I'll believe you, Shuexingwu said. Chapter 21:16. As Ice Snow and Zi Xintong entered the grand glacial dragon formation, Dao Lord Ice Snow was quite excited. They're here. They're finally here. I've been waiting for a long time. Dao Monarch Ice Dragon was extremely excited. He really didn't expect Icy Dance to enter the great Ice Dragon formation so easily. It was truly unexpected. However, no matter what, it couldn't be better for Dao Monarch Ice Dragon as long as Icy Dance entered the great Ice Dragon formation. This was something he was most happy to see. Icy Dance. At this moment, Dao Monarch Ice Dragon appeared in the great Ice Dragon formation. His figure was at the core of the great Ice Dragon formation. Looking at Yang Hongwu and the others, the corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. You actually dared to come to your death. If you were in the Shrine of Ice, I wouldn't be able to do anything to you. However, you came to my Ice Dragon Mountain and entered my great Ice Dragon formation. You're courting death. Dao Monarch Ice Dragon. No, it's actually just a clone. Where's your true body? Don't you dare to come? Icy Dance narrowed her eyes and stared at the other party. This time, I'm here to kill you. Let your true body come out. You're just a clone. You're meaningless. Initially, Yang Hongwu had wanted to trick Dao, Lord Ice Dragon's true body out. Unexpectedly, it was only a clone that came out. This made Icy Dance very disappointed. It was just a clone. Killing him was meaningless. Most importantly, it was just a clone. At most, it would cause Dao Monarch Ice Dragon to suffer a small loss. To Dao Monarch Ice Dragon, it wouldn't hurt at all. However, Yang Hongwu was different. To others, killing the clone of an expert wouldn't cause any loss to the other party. However, Yang Hongwu was different. The cultivation method he cultivated was special. He could rely on his secret divine abilities to kill the clone. After the clone, it would directly affect the true body. It's the same for the clone. Killing his clone can also injure the true body. This time, I'm going to injure him severely. A cold light flashed in Yang Hongwu's eyes. Do it. With Yang Hongwu's order, everyone, including Icy Dance, Zi Xintong, and the others, all charged towards Dao Monarch Ice Dragon's clone. You want to kill me? You must be dreaming. Although my true body is not here, this is the Ice Dragon Mountain. This is my territory. You dare to be so arrogant in my territory? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. I have been waiting for you to come in. At that moment, Dao Lord Ice Dragon was neither worried nor afraid when he saw the crowd charging towards him. Instead, he became excited and laughed out loud. I'll let you guys see how terrifying my Ice Dragon formation is. As he spoke, he waved his hand and formed a seal. However, what happened next surprised him. A slap landed on his face. A bright red handprint instantly appeared on his face. This was Yang Hongwu's attack. Yang Hongwu had used a secret technique to travel through the void to instantly appear beside him. Just as he was feeling extremely happy, Yang Hongwu slapped him in the face. Humiliation. This was absolute humiliation. One had to know that Dao Lord Ice Dragon was a Dao Lord expert. Yet, he had been slapped in the face. He had slapped himself in the face. Where would he put his face? He had lost a lot of face. Moreover, his Ice Dragon formation had not been activated. Seeing this scene, Bing Shuwu and Zi Xintong, who were chasing from behind, were also dumbfounded. The The clone of a Tao Lord expert had been slapped in the face, and there was even a bright red handprint on his face. This was simply too embarrassing. They could not believe it. To an expert, face was extremely important. Even if it was a clone, it was still the clone of a Tao Lord expert. How could it endure such humiliation? All of a sudden, Tao Lord Ice Dragon went mad. Bastard, I'll kill you. However, he was only a clone after all. Before Yang Hongwu could make a move, Bing Shuo's terrifying aura enveloped him. The saint power of ice instantly suppressed Tao Lord Ice Dragon. Who do you want to kill? A mere clone dares to be so arrogant. Bing Shuo snorted coldly and threw Tao Lord Ice Dragon, who had been suppressed by her, to the side like trash. Tao Lord Ice Dragon saw that the situation was not good and wanted to escape. However, he could not do so at all. The space was sealed, and he could not even communicate with his main body. This was Yang Hongwu's plan. When Tao Lord Ice Dragon entered the Ice Dragon formation, he had already sealed the space and modified the Ice Dragon formation. Of course, with his strength, he only modified a little. This was enough to show how powerful this formation was. However, if he was given enough time, he could modify more and even truly control this Ice Dragon formation. However, Yang Hongwu needed enough time. Yang Hongwu could not afford to wait. Leave him to me, Yang Hongwu said. Okay. Bing Shuo also knew that Yang Hongwu wanted to dig out some information from his clone. After all, she knew that Yang Hongwu's main purpose of coming to Ice Dragon Mountain was to find someone. As the master of Ice Dragon Mountain, Tao Lord Ice Dragon naturally knew where they were. Where? I won't let you off. With that, Tao Lord Ice Dragon's clone was about to dissipate. However, how could Yang Hongwu let him do as he wished? Imprison. With a soft shout from Yang Hongwu, a power of creation condensed Tao Lord Ice Dragon's dissipating clone. What kind of mystic technique is this? Bing Shuo was shocked. If the clone of an expert wanted to dissipate on its own, it was impossible to stop it unless there was a special method. Unless there was a special mystic technique, or if one was strong enough to ignore the great Tao law. However, that realm was too terrifying. If one had such strength, who would dare to provoke them? For a mere Tao Lord to provoke such an existence, wasn't that just courting death? Of course, Yang Hongwu could not answer her at this time. At this moment, he was using this special mystic technique to search the memories of Tao Lord Ice Dragon's clone. Ice, Sacred Realm. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes and was overjoyed. He did not expect that although Tao Lord Ice Dragon had captured 2 people back then, one of them was indeed the person he was looking for. It was not Hu Xiu'er, but Zheng Qiushuang. Among them, Zheng Qiushuang was lucky and entered a special mystic realm of the Ice Dominion. The Ice Sacred Realm surprised Yang Hongwu too much. He also understood why Icy Dance was so determined to attack Ice Dragon Mountain. Firstly, Ice Dragon Mountain was indeed a great enemy of the Shrine of Ice. Secondly, the most crucial factor was the sacred domain of ice. This sacred domain of ice was the inheritance of the Dominion of Ice, the key to controlling the Dominion of Ice. Icy Goddess Icy Dance only controlled a part of the Dominion of Ice, and had yet to become the true master of the Dominion of Ice. Mobile users, please browse. And you want to talk about the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people. You want to follow advanced reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find confidence. Chapter 21:17. To provide you with an exciting novel to read. At this moment, Ice Dragon Tao Lord's true body, who was cultivating in seclusion, suddenly opened his eyes and spat out a mouthful of blood. His expression changed drastically. His soul was injured. This was something he had never expected. His clone had actually been killed in the Ice Dragon formation. Was the other party's strength so terrifying? Were Icy Dance and Zi Xintong, the princess of the Devil region, so terrifying when they joined forces? This was something he had never expected. He didn't think it was Yang Hongwu's doing. After all, Yang Hongwu's cultivation was only at the ruler realm. He didn't know what had happened in the Ice Dragon formation because he had already lost his connection with it. He had lost his connection with the Ice Dragon formation. The space within the Ice Dragon formation had been completely sealed. This made him realize a huge threat. Attack or endure? This suddenly made him feel conflicted. After all, the other party could even seal the space within the Ice Dragon formation and cause him to lose connection with it. This was enough to show that the other party's strength was extremely terrifying. However, if he retreated, the other party would definitely not leave Ice Dragon Mountain so easily. At this moment, Icy Dance was coming for him. She wouldn't retreat just because he had endured. Give up Ice Dragon Mountain and leave this place? This was even more impossible. This was his headquarters, his foundation. Once he left the Ice Dragon Mountain, not only would he lose his foundation, his strength would also be greatly reduced. This was because the Ice Dragon Mountain, and the Ice Dragon Great Formation were one. Once he lost the Ice Dragon Formation and lost the support of Ice Dragon Mountain's origin, his strength would decrease by more than half. He might even fall to the ruler realm. Of course, he wasn't willing. Since retreating was impossible, he could only fight and forcefully fight to the death with the other party. Men! At this moment, Ice Dragon Tao Lord called out, and the door to his cultivation room opened. Master! One of the 3 disciples standing guard outside stood up and asked, Is there anything I can help you with, Master? The one who spoke was Ice Dragon Tao Lord's eldest disciple, Du Tianlin. Du Tianlin was a poisonous flood dragon that Ice Dragon Tao Lord had picked up in an ancient secret realm. He was raised and became Ice Dragon Tao Lord's right-hand man. He was also Ice Dragon Tao Lord's most trusted assistant, Du Tianlin. Although his strength hadn't reached the Tao Lord realm, he was still a half-step Tao Lord. Moreover, his poison Tao was extremely terrifying. It was Du Tianlin's secret art. Once his poison technique was used, it could be said that no one below the Tao Lord realm would be able to neutralize it. Even Tao Lord experts would not be able to neutralize it in a short period of time. Go and bring me Shui Xian, Tao Lord Ice Dragon said coldly. I want to use him for training. Yes, Master. Du Tianlin was curious as to why Tao Lord Ice Dragon would use Shui Xian to cultivate at this time. After all, Tao Lord Ice Dragon was waiting for the right time to use Shui Xian as a cauldron. However, the time wasn't right yet. If the other pure female body hadn't entered the ice sacred region, this wouldn't be a problem. However, there was only one pure female body now. If she used this cauldron now, she would have to wait for the day of pure Yin. Wouldn't there be no more cultivation cauldron? Although Du Tianlin was very curious, he didn't dare to speak at this time because he saw the blood at the corner of Ice Dragon Tao Lord's mouth. Ice Dragon Tao Lord was very domineering. Although Du Tianlin was deeply trusted by Ice Dragon Tao Lord, if he dared to disobey him. If that was the case, Tao Lord Ice Dragon would definitely not show mercy. Du Tianlin was very clear about this. He had seen far too many people who had been killed by Tao Lord Ice Dragon because they had disobeyed him. Back then, a woman he loved was also one of Ice Dragon Tao Lord's right-hand men. However, she was killed because of a small matter. Since then, Du Tianlin buried this matter in the bottom of his heart. He didn't tell anyone and never disobeyed Ice Dragon Tao Lord's orders. However, the seed of hatred was buried deep in Du Tianlin's heart. Seeing the blood at the corner of Ice Dragon Tao Lord's mouth, Du Tianlin didn't think that Ice Dragon Tao Lord had encountered a problem in his cultivation. It was very likely that he had encountered a great danger. Otherwise, Ice Dragon Tao Lord wouldn't have given up on that stage because of a small problem. One day, after Du Tianlin left the Ice Dragon Hall, he knew where the problem was. It turned out that the Ice Dragon Mountain was under attack, and it was Icy Dance, the Hall Master of the Shrine of Ice. Her strength was incomparably valiant, and there was also a similarly valiant princess of the Infernal region. The blood at the corner of Ice Dragon Tao Lord's mouth was probably because his clone had been killed in the battle with Icy Dance and Zi Shinto. Ice Dragon Tao Lord himself had suffered a backlash. At this moment, Du Tianlin's mood was very complicated. He was happy and worried at the same time. He was happy because at this moment, Tao Lord Ice Dragon was probably in great danger. If Tao Lord Ice Dragon was killed, he would have his revenge. However, at the same time, Ice Dragon Tao Lord had done him a great favor. If it weren't for Ice Dragon Tao Lord, how could he be who he was today? Because of this, his mood was very complicated. Ice Dragon Tao Lord had nurtured him, but Ice Dragon Tao Lord had killed the woman he loved. It was these complicated feelings that made him very conflicted. He didn't know what to do. However, after hesitating for a long time, he finally chose to bring her to Ice Dragon Tao Lord. Firstly, it was to repay the favor. Secondly, he didn't want to die. If he chose to betray Ice Dragon Tao Lord at this time, only death would await him. Ice Dragon Tao Lord wouldn't let him go. At this moment, Du Tianlin came to a secret realm. This was one of the two forbidden areas of Ice Dragon Mountain, the Ice Dragon Secret Realm. The Ice Dragon Secret Realm and the Ice Dragon Sacred Realm were the two great secret realms of Ice Dragon Mountain. They couldn't enter the Ice Dragon Sacred Realm, and so could Ice Dragon Tao Lord. However, the Ice Dragon Secret Realm was different. It was very special. It was the inner world of the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror. The Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror was Ice Dragon Tao Lord's natal treasure and the key to his growth. It was controlled by Ice Dragon Tao Lord. Shui Xian was imprisoned here. Just as Du Tianlin was about to open the secret realm, Yang Hongwu, Zi Xintong, and Icy Dance appeared. Before Du Tianlin could react, his body was controlled by the three of them. This space was also sealed. Who are you people? Du Tianlin's face changed drastically. After seeing who it was, he realized that he was in danger. However, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't resist at all. The difference in strength was too big. However, when the three of them imprisoned him, he had already released the poison technique in his body. This was his biggest trump card. Du Tianlin, Ice Dragon Tao Lord's first disciple? Icy Dance asked. Very well. Speak. Where is Ice Dragon Tao Lord? You want to talk about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people. You want to follow advanced reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 21:18. You. How dare you trespass here? Let me go or else. Or else what? Icy Dance said coldly. You're going to die. Do you know that? You're just a lowly prisoner. What are you so arrogant for? If you don't speak, we'll find you even if we kill you, Zi Xintong said coldly. Her killing intent was just as shocking. If you kill me, you won't have an easy time either, said Du Tianlin. You're just a little snake. How dare you be so arrogant? Do you think you can deal with us with this little bit of poison? When Yang Hanwu heard Du Tianlin's tone, he knew what Du Tianlin was thinking. Du Tianlin had already used it when he was caught. Yang Hanwu had to admit that Du Tianlin's poison skills were indeed impressive. However, they were nothing to Yang Hanwu. After all, he was a powerful alchemist. He could even refine saint-grade pills. Moreover, he had the Red Lotus Karmic Fire. Any poison arts were useless in front of Yang Hongwu. However, for Zi Xintong and Shui Wu, Du Tianlin's poison techniques were still a little threatening. After all, they weren't alchemists, and they didn't have powerful divine flames or physical bodies that could ignore all kinds of poison techniques. Poison arts? Zi Xintong and Icy Dance's expressions changed slightly. They were Tao monarchs. They were surprised that they had been poisoned without anyone noticing. They could tell that Du Tianlin's poison arts weren't to be underestimated. Du Tianlin, what a poison arts genius. Hand over the antidote, or I'll kill you, Icy Dance said coldly. Although Du Tianlin's poison arts weren't fatal to her, they could still affect her. I have an antidote here. Here's an antidote. Yang Hongwu waved his hand and took out 2 elixirs. These detoxification pills were concocted by Yang Hongwu casually. There were also saint-grade elixirs. Considering Du Tianlin's poison skills, these pills were only Tao grade. They could neutralize all poisons other than a Tao grade. After all, Yang Hongwu had infused the antidote with the power of fortune. It had a strong suppressive effect on poisons below the Tao grade. After the two women consumed the detoxification pills, they removed that bit of poison. This poison only affected them a little. In truth, it wasn't difficult to remove this poison, but it would take some time. After all, the two women were Tao lords. No matter what a half-step Tao lord cultivator cultivated, even poison, they wouldn't be able to cause fatal damage to a Tao lord. This was the cultivation of Tao lords and those below the Tao lord realm. The gap between them was like a chasm that couldn't be crossed. Of course, Yang Hongwu was different. He was too special. That was why he could fight against a Tao lord with a ruler cultivation base. You, who are you? Du Tianlin looked at Yang Hongwu. Only now did he realize how terrifying Yang Hongwu was. The young man in front of him was only at the early stage Tao monarch realm, but he was so unfathomable that he could neutralize his poison arts so easily. Du Tianlin's poison arts were an innate divine ability. It had a great limitation on Tao monarchs. Although it couldn't cause any fatal damage to Tao monarchs, it could weaken their strength for a short time and prevent them from reaching their peak. That was why Tao monarch Ice Dragon valued him so much. He refined countless poisons and gave them to Tao monarch Ice Dragon. Tao monarch Ice Dragon relied on his poison arts to gain a great advantage against other Tao monarchs. Me? Yang Hongwu smiled and looked at Du Tianlin. To you, I'm an enemy you can't fight against. A little snake. What a pity. You have the blood of dragons in your body, but it's suppressed. If you can awaken your body, if you have the bloodline of the ancient dragon clan, you will become an ancient poison dragon. Yang Hongwu was a member of the dragon clan, and his bloodline rank was the highest in the dragon clan. He could see that Du Tianlin's true form was an ancient poisonous snake with the bloodline of the ancient poisonous dragon. If it could be activated, Du Tianlin's strength would increase tremendously, and he could even break through to the Tao monarch realm. Once he entered the Tao lord realm, the increase in his cultivation base would not be small. After entering the Tao lord realm, he would no longer be proficient in the poison arts, but in the poison laws and the great Tao of poison. There were 3,000 great Taos in the myriad worlds, and of course, it was one of the poisons. Tao of poison. Once one achieved success in the Tao of poison, it would be extremely terrifying, especially when it came to those cultivators whose cultivation was not as high as his. He would have a huge advantage and be able to kill his enemies without making a sound. How terrifying was that? How terrifying! However, it would be too difficult for this little poisonous snake to grow. After all, there was almost no one in the myriad realms who could activate the law of poison in his body and awaken his ancient bloodline. Of course, Yang Hongwu could do it. However, Yang Hongwu would have to pay a great price. This kid was an enemy. Yang Hongwu naturally wouldn't pay such a price for an enemy. Even if the other party wasn't an enemy, Yang Hongwu wouldn't do it so easily. You're also a dragon. Your bloodline is even more terrifying than my master's. You're from the ancient divine dragon clan? Du Tianlin looked at Yang Hongwu, his eyes filled with shock. He could feel a powerful pressure coming from Yang Hongwu's body, which came from his blood. It came from the depths of his bloodline. Although only a trace of his pressure was revealed, Du Tianlin still sensed it. He had sensed this pressure from Tao Lord Ice Dragon before. However, the pressure from Tao Lord Ice Dragon's body was far from this pure and imposing. As expected of someone with the ancient poison dragon bloodline, you're actually able to sense the pressure from my bloodline. You're not simple. Although your bloodline is a little thin, it's still alright. If you can awaken it, you can break through to the Tao monarch realm. Yang Hongwu said. His eyes narrowed as he spoke. Yang Hongwu, you're saying that Du Tianlin actually has the ancient poison dragon bloodline? Once it's awakened, he can break through to the Tao monarch realm? Shueshue looked at Yang Hongwu and asked. That's right. However, it's practically impossible to awaken that bloodline. Yang Hongwu shook his head and said, in the myriad worlds, unless it's a supreme expert from the ancient god domain, only I can awaken his bloodline. At this moment, Du Tianlin looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "Young master, I'm willing to submit to you. Please awaken the power of my bloodline." His eyes were filled with desire. He wanted to become stronger and become a Dao monarch. Who wouldn't be willing? Du Tianlin was the same. If he could become a Dao monarch, he was willing to pay any price. No. Shui hurriedly stopped him when she heard that. This Du Tianlin isn't a good person. He's Dao monarch, Ice Dragon's lackey. She wanted to talk about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people. Talking about life, finding a confidant. Chapter 21:19. Yang Hongwu naturally knew what kind of person Du Tianlin was. Yang Hongwu could also tell what kind of person Du Tianlin was. Du Tianlin had endless karma on him. This was a sign of his sins. Who knew how many innocent people he had killed? His hands were stained with blood. His hands were stained with blood. If such a person were to undergo tribulation, he would definitely be much more terrifying than ordinary cultivators. Young master, I definitely won't. I will be absolutely loyal to young master. Although Ice Dragon, Dao Monarch raised me, he is also my enemy. He doesn't treat us as humans at all. My most beloved woman died miserably in his hands. I'm the one who I want revenge. At this point, Du Tianlin's eyes flashed with intense, killing intent. Yang Hongwu could see that this hatred was definitely not concealed. It came from the bottom of his heart. Icy Dance said coldly, "You believe him? Although Dao Lord Ice Dragon has committed many evil deeds, he is still Du Tianlin's benefactor. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he owes Du Tianlin a great debt of gratitude. If it wasn't for Dao Lord Ice Dragon, Du Tianlin wouldn't exist. If he betrayed Dao Lord Ice Dragon, can't he betray you?" "That's right." Zi Xintong nodded in agreement. "Who is Dao Lord Ice Dragon? How can someone who can reach this level not have some tricks up his sleeve? How can he not guard against the betrayal of others? If I'm not wrong, he is in Du Tianlin's heart. There is a mark in Lin's soul. Once he betrays us, only death awaits him. Du Tianlin, you should give up. Tell me honestly where Dao Lord Ice Dragon is, and you still have a chance to live. As for you wanting Yang Hongwu to help you activate your bloodline and raise your cultivation to the next level, that's impossible. You can live. Living is already the greatest gift for you. You still want Yang Hongwu to help you activate your bloodline? That's absolutely impossible." Icy Dance said coldly. At this moment, Yang Hongwu said, "Little Viper, they're right. I want to activate your bloodline. Not killing you is already a great favor for you." Du Tianlin looked at Yang Hongwu. He knew that since he had said so, Yang Hongwu would definitely not activate his bloodline for now. Of course, he also knew very well that this didn't mean that he had no chance. He would still have a chance in the future. He would, as long as he could get Yang Hongwu's approval. "All right, I'm willing to help you. However, you have to promise me one thing. Help me break free from Dao Lord Ice Dragon's control." Du Tianlin didn't want to die. He was controlled by Dao Lord Ice Dragon, and his life was not up to him. In front of him, Yang Hongwu had a powerful bloodline of dragons. Although his cultivation realm seemed insufficient, he would only have a chance to live if he took action. If Dao Lord Ice Dragon knew that he had betrayed him, Dao Lord Ice Dragon would definitely have a way to kill him. I don't want to die. Although I don't know how Dao Lord Ice Dragon controls my life foundation, I'm sure that he can control my life and death. It's not just me. In the entire Ice Dragon Mountain, as long as one's cultivation has reached the sovereign level, they are all under Dao Lord Ice Dragon's control. Now, whoever he wants to kill will have to die. You don't have the right to negotiate with me. If you don't want to say it, you have to die now. Yang Hongwu said coldly, "I hate it when people negotiate with me." Du Tianlin was already a prisoner, yet he still dared to negotiate. He was simply courting death. "I know Dao Lord Ice Dragon's weakness. If you're willing to protect me from death, I can tell you his weakness and all his secrets." Although Du Tianlin was furious, he knew that this was his greatest danger, because he could live or die with a thought. Life and death were not up to him. Yang Hongwu and the other two knew how angry Du Tianlin was at this moment. However, they didn't take it to heart. This guy was only at the sovereign level. If he hadn't reached the Tao Lord level, he wouldn't pose any threat to them. At most, he would just create some small trouble for them. Moreover, if he didn't know what was good for him, they could just kill him. Yang Hongwu was confident enough. Tao Lord Ice Dragon's weakness and secrets? You can tell me. If you can satisfy me, I can promise you. Yang Hongwu said. In fact, if Yang Hongwu wanted to use a special method to read all of Du Tianlin's memories, he would have to pay a high price. Moreover, the success rate wasn't 100%. If he could, he would say it himself. If he could, it would be best if he could come out. After all, what Yang Hongwu lacked the most now was time. He didn't want to waste too much time and energy. However, if he knew Tao Lord Ice Dragon's weakness, it would be much easier to deal with him. This was a good thing. Hurry up and say it. Shui Shui was pleasantly surprised to hear that Du Tianlin knew Tao Lord Ice Dragon's weakness. If they targeted Tao Lord Ice Dragon's weakness, it would be much easier to kill him. Tao Lord Ice Dragon has a brother. It's his twin brother. He sealed him in the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror. Du Tianlin said, that's Tao Lord Ice Sea Dragon's weakness. His twin brother shares the same roots as Tao Lord Ice Dragon. As long as he controls Tao Lord Ice Dragon's life, his twin brother controls Tao Lord Ice Dragon's life and death. Yang Hongwu was quite surprised when he heard this. In fact, this was not particularly surprising. In the myriad worlds, such a situation was extremely rare, but it was not non-existent. However, generally, if such a situation occurred, it would be extremely rare. However, it wasn't impossible to solve it. Moreover, if the two brothers could work together and cultivate a special secret technique, their cultivation would increase at the same time. Moreover, if they performed a joint attack, their cultivation would not be as simple as 1 + 1. Generally, they could even combine their powers. When they used a combination technique, their power would be even more terrifying. Their combat strength would increase exponentially. If it was really as Du Tianlin said, then Tao Lord Ice Dragon's twin brother wouldn't be his weakness. It would be his trump card, one of his greatest trump cards. Generally speaking, for someone like Tao Lord Ice Dragon who would do anything for himself, he would probably refine his twin brother into one of his clones. This clone wouldn't be as simple as an ordinary clone. It would be another Ice Dragon. Tao Lord, with the same strength as him, was another him. Take us to the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror, Yang Hongwu said. No matter what the situation was, he had to take down Tao Lord Ice Dragon's twin brother first. Yang Hongwu did not want any accidents to happen or anything out of his control. Therefore, Tao Lord Ice Dragon's twin brother had to be killed. He cannot be allowed to live. Please follow me, Du Tianlin said. Yang Hongwu and the other two looked at each other and released the shackles on Du Tianlin. However, the seal on his cultivation base was not unlocked. If you want to talk about the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people, follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find a confidant. Chapter 21:20. We're here. This is the place. On the other side of the phone, not long after, the group arrived at an entrance. It was a simple and unadorned teleportation gate. This is the ancient Ice Dragon Mirror. Yang Hongwu frowned slightly as he looked at the light door in front of him. This portal was the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror. Yang Hongwu did not believe it. His eye technique was unable to see through it. However, it seemed like it was impossible. However, it didn't look like the ancient Ice Dragon Mirror. After all, he couldn't completely trust Du Tianlin. Therefore, he had to be careful. If it was a trap, wouldn't he be walking right into it? Yes, this is the entrance to the ancient Ice Dragon Mirror. This is the Ice Dragon's secret territory. Du Tianlin explained. If this is the entrance to the Ice Dragon's secret territory, then what about the entrance to the Ice Sacred Territory? Where is it? Yang Hongwu said. To Yang Hongwu, entering the entrance of the Ice Dragon Mystery Dimension was not a big deal. After all, entering it was just a matter of time. After all, it was to deal with Ice Dragon Tao Lord. However, the Ice Sacred Territory was a must. Shueishue's expression changed after hearing Yang Hongwu's words. She didn't expect Yang Hongwu to know about the existence of the ice sacred territory. How could she not be shocked? The ice sacred territory was very important to Shueishue. She didn't say anything, but Yang Hongwu knew about it. Could it be that Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong didn't come here to find someone, but to go to the ice sacred territory like her? If that was the case, she and Yang Hongwu would become enemies. If that was the case, she didn't want to see it happen. Yang Hongwu's strength was very strange, and Zi Xintong was very strong. They were both powerful enemies. If Yang Hongwu went against them, it would be very troublesome. She didn't have enough confidence to deal with Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong. Don't worry. At this moment, Sacred Qin said, Yang Hongwu doesn't care about the ice sacred territory's inheritance. He doesn't need it. Then why is he here? Is he really looking for someone? Shueishue Wu asked. She was still very worried. The entrance to the ice sacred territory? At this moment, Du Tianlin hadn't expected Yang Hongwu to know about the existence of the ice holy land. However, after thinking about it, he didn't find it strange. After all, Yang Hongwu was too powerful. His existence wasn't strange at all. Moreover, he was together with Ice Dance. Perhaps Ice Dance had told him about it. As for Shueishue Wu, as the master of the ice sacred territory, it would be strange if she didn't know about the sacred territory. The entrance to the Ice Dragon sacred domain is in the depths of the Ice Dragon Hall. It has been sealed by Dao Monarch Ice Dragon. If you want to enter the Ice Dragon sacred domain, you must defeat Dao Monarch Ice Dragon. Otherwise, you won't be able to enter. Is that so? Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes and said, Are you telling the truth? In fact, Yang Hongwu had already seen that there was a teleportation formation beside the Ice Dragon secret territory. This teleportation formation was destroyed. It was obvious that it was destroyed by someone. Moreover, the power should belong to Ice Dragon Dao Lord. He must be the one who destroyed it. Yes, Lord. Du Tianlin felt a little scared when Yang Hongwu looked at him like that. He was really worried that Yang Hongwu would kill him directly. There's no other entrance? Yang Hongwu said, I hate it when people lie to me. If you lie to me, I won't be merciful. There's another entrance, but it's been destroyed. We can't enter it. Du Tianlin hurriedly explained. Where is it? Yang Hongwu asked. Shui Wu's eyes lit up when she heard this. If she could enter the sacred territory directly, she could ignore Ice Dragon Dao Lord for now. As long as she could enter the sacred territory, she could obtain the inheritance of the ice sacred territory and become a true ice. If she became the master of the snow god domain, then her strength would increase by leaps and bounds. At that time, she would truly be in control of the entire snow god domain, and a mere Ice Dragon Dao Monarch would be nothing to worry about. She also looked at Du Tianlin. It would be best if she could enter directly. It's over there, Du Tianlin said as he pointed at a ruin not far away. Over there? You're not lying to us? Shui Wu said, It's just a ruin. There's no teleportation formation at all. There's no sign of a spatial entrance. If it was the real entrance of the sacred territory, there would definitely be fluctuations. As the master of the ice sacred territory, Shui Wu could actually sense the sacred territory. How could she not discover it? It's true, my lord. I'm not lying. However, a year ago, Dao Lord Ice Dragon captured a naked woman and escaped into that entrance. Therefore, in a fit of anger, Dao Lord Ice Dragon destroyed that entrance. Therefore, he directly sealed it and turned it into an ordinary ruin. Ordinary people won't be able to discover it. Du Tianlin explained again, worried that Yang Hongwu would kill him out of anger. He's right. That's an entrance, a sealed entrance. However, the space of this entrance has been destroyed. If you want to enter, you'll have to repair this space. Yang Hongwu said, now that the entrance to the space had been destroyed, it would be extremely difficult to repair it. Moreover, the sacred territory was a special space. Although he had the secret technique to travel through the void, he couldn't easily enter a special secret territory like the sacred territory. After all, the sacred land of ice was too special. In fact, Even ordinary macro worlds, such as the domain of gods or the sky-reaching continent, could not be entered without the permission of the owner. This was the power of the laws, the restriction of law. For example, the Forsaken Shrine. Anyone who could enter the Forsaken Shrine through a spatial technique definitely couldn't be at the Tao Lord level of power. They had to be below the Tao Lord level. Even hegemons wouldn't be able to easily enter unless the Forsaken Shrine was willing to let them in. Otherwise, it was impossible to enter. A secret territory like the sacred territory of self-defense was a place of inheritance. Unless the sacred territory of self-defense was willing to let you in and had the permission of the sacred territory of self-defense. Generally, a place of inheritance like the sacred territory of self-defense could only be entered through the entrance of the sacred territory of self-defense. Can this entrance be repaired? Shui Wu asked. I don't know. Du Tianlin said, perhaps Ice Dragon Tao Lord can repair it. It can be repaired, but it's very difficult and will take a lot of time. Yang Hongwu said, moreover, during the repair process, it can't be disturbed. However, it's impossible to do so now. After all, this was Ice Dragon Tao Lord's territory. Ice Dragon Tao Lord wasn't dead yet. If you want to talk about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people, follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find friends. Chapter 21-21. Icy Dance was delighted to hear Yang Hongwu say that he could repair the entrance. After all, it was the best thing to have a chance to enter the Ice Sacred Land. No, the problem now was that Tao Lord Ice Dragon had not been dealt with yet. Once he was done, they could enter the Ice Sacred Land directly. That was naturally the best outcome. Tao Lord Ice Dragon is a problem. After all, this is Ice Dragon Mountain. Yang Hongwu said, if you can stop Tao Lord Ice Dragon and don't disturb me, we can give it a try. Then let's kill Tao Lord Ice Dragon first. Icy Dance said. She couldn't wait to enter the Ice Sacred Land. This place was her goal, the most important goal. As for killing Tao Lord Ice Dragon, it wasn't that important. Of course, if she had to kill Tao Lord Ice Dragon to enter the Ice Sacred Land, then she would kill him first. No matter what, let's enter the Ice Dragon's secret realm first. Zi Xintong said, the Ice Dragon's secret realm is formed by the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror. Tao Lord Ice Dragon is the owner of the mirror. If we enter, wouldn't we be walking into a trap? Yang Hongwu furrowed his brows and said, it will be troublesome if they were to enter the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror and be sealed inside. Yang Hongwu was very clear about this point. It was like letting the enemy enter his life Great Seal. Therefore, if one did not have enough confidence and strength, entering the secret realm of the ancient Ice Dragon Mirror at this moment was equivalent to being caught by Ice Dragon Tao Monarch as a turtle in a jar. Oh, even if they had powerful secret techniques, they would suffer great losses. This time, Du Tianlin wanted the three of them to enter the Ice Dragon's secret realm. He was up and oh good. Yang Hongwu looked at Du Tianlin. If this guy still didn't know what was good for him, then he would have to kill him. Although Tao Lord Ice Dragon's twin brother is in the Ice Dragon's secret realm, the Ice Dragon's secret realm is actually the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror. If you enter, Tao Lord Ice Dragon will have an absolute advantage. At that time, no matter how strong you are, you won't be a match for Tao Lord Ice Dragon. At this moment, Du Tianlin spoke. In fact, he was very conflicted. Such as if he could lure Yang Hongwu and the others into the Ice Dragon's secret territory, it would be of great benefit to him. It could be said that this was a great contribution. In this way, he would definitely be praised by the Ice Dragon Tao Monarch. The Ice Dragon Tao Monarch would definitely reward him greatly. However, Yang Hongwu and the others were not fools. It was impossible for them to be fooled so easily. Therefore, after hesitating for a long time, he still said it. You are quite tactful. If you don't say it, I will kill you. Yang Hongwu snorted. If Du Tianlin didn't say anything, Yang Hongwu didn't plan to let him go. After all, Du Tianlin definitely knew about these things. If he didn't say anything, It meant that he was plotting against Yang Hongwu and the others, which meant that this guy was really useless. Instead, he was plotting against Yang Hongwu and the others. There was no point in keeping such a person alive. Do you think we're fools? Zi Xintong coldly snorted. I said it was the same for Shui Wu. For the three of them to have their current cultivation realm and strength, how could they be so easily deceived? If they couldn't even see through such a scheme, they would have been killed long ago. How could they still be alive now? No, young master, you have to believe me. I didn't mean that. How would I dare to plot against you? At this moment, Du Tianlin was sweating profusely. He was scared to death. He looked at Yang Hongwu and said, "My life is in your hands. How would I dare to plot against you? Even if I had 10,000 guts, I still wouldn't dare to plot against you. Forget it. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Be honest and bring us to the Ice Dragon Dao Monarch." Yang Hongwu said, "This time, you came here under the instructions of the Ice Dragon Dao Monarch, right?" "Yes, young master. The Ice Dragon Dao Monarch asked me to bring Shui Xian, a pure body, to his cultivation place. He is injured and needs a cauldron to cultivate." Du Tianlin said. He knew that his life was saved at this moment. Yang Hongwu didn't kill him because he was giving him a chance. If he didn't know what was good for him, he would be a corpse. At this moment, he truly understood how terrifying Yang Hongwu was. Although his cultivation realm wasn't high, his strength was truly terrifying and unfathomable. The reason why Dao Monarch Ice Dragon was injured was most likely because of Yang Hongwu. Although Icy Dance and Zi Xintong were powerful, they shouldn't have been able to injure Dao Monarch Ice Dragon so easily. Although Dao Monarch Ice Dragon's incarnation was only an incarnation, its strength was still quite terrifying. It was impossible for it to be killed before Dao Monarch Ice Dragon could react, causing Dao Monarch Ice Dragon to suffer heavy injuries. "Bring Shui Xianer out." Yang Hongwu lightly patted Du Tianlin and planted a mark. "Don't think about escaping. I've already planted a life and death mark on you. If you try to escape, I'll let you know what it means to live a life worse than death." I won't. Du Tianlin hastily nodded. He had sensed that when Yang Hongwu had patted him, a force had entered his body. That force had concealed itself, and when he wanted to try to remove it, he sensed a terrifying force of life and death. It felt like it could erupt at any time, and once it did, he would die. He didn't want to die, so he could only listen to Yang Hongwu. "I don't think you dare. If you don't listen, that force of mine can directly control your soul and do what I want." Yang Hongwu said, "I won't, young master. Don't worry." Du Tianlin took a deep breath. He didn't dare to have any thoughts. This man was way too frightening, way too frightening. Compared to him, even Dao Lord Ice Dragon was nothing. This was the most frightening person he had ever seen. At this moment, Du Tianlin didn't have any thoughts of resisting Yang Hongwu. It wasn't only because of Yang Hongwu's strange and unpredictable methods, but also because of the powerful bloodline of dragons in Yang Hongwu's body. Yang Hongwu's words seemed to carry an ancient pressure that couldn't be resisted. It was a power that couldn't be rejected. It seemed to be the most ancient power of dragons. It was the power of laws of the dragon's emperor. Imitation Buddha was the creator of dragons. If a race was in front of its creator, there was no way it could refuse. The special force in Yang Hongwu's bloodline faintly had this kind of power of laws. In fact, Yang Hongwu didn't know about this. Chapter 21-22. After watching Du Tianlin enter the Ice Dragon's secret realm, Shui asked, "Do you believe him? Aren't you afraid that he won't come out after going in?" "No." Yang Hongwu shook his head. "Unless he has a death wish. That little snake, I can tell with a single glance that he's a coward. He wouldn't dare," Zi Xintong said. At this moment, in the Ice Dragon Hall, at Dao Lord Ice Dragon's cultivation place, Dao Lord Ice Dragon was furious that Du Tianlin hadn't returned yet. At this moment, he didn't dare to go out carelessly as his injuries hadn't recovered. He could only use the cauldron to heal his injuries before going out. After all, Xue Xintong and Zi Xintong were in the outside world at this moment. They were quite strong. With his injuries, even with the ice dragon ancient mirror in hand, he might not be able to defeat the two of them together. After all, Xue Xintong was the master of the Ice Dominion. Although her strength was suppressed in the Ice Dragon Mountain, she could still fight. To a certain extent, she could mobilize a portion of the power of laws. This was also the reason why Dao, Lord Ice Dragon, didn't come out even after Yang Hongwu and the others had entered his Ice Dragon Hall. If it were anyone else, it would be too embarrassing if they didn't fight back when the enemy had already come to their home. However, Dao Lord Ice Dragon could endure it. He knew that at this time, he was absolutely at a disadvantage. If he acted rashly, his life would be over if he was not careful. This was something he was unwilling to do. Therefore, in order to survive, in order to be absolutely safe, before his injuries recovered, he wouldn't act. He could only endure. Damn it, Du Tianlin still hasn't returned. Dao Lord Ice Dragon was very anxious. He didn't expect Du Tianlin to still not return at this time. According to the time calculation, Du Tianlin should have returned by now. Yet, at this time, he still hadn't appeared. In this case, there were only two possibilities. One was that Du Tianlin betrayed him, which was actually not very likely. Du Tianlin was his most trusted subordinate and was raised by him. He was like his own son. This was one of the reasons. The other was that Du Tianlin betrayed him. Another was that he had planted a soul-destruction imprint on Du Tianlin. If Du Tianlin betrayed him, he could kill Du Tianlin with a thought. Du Tianlin's life was in his control. Du Tianlin was definitely afraid of death. He didn't believe that Du Tianlin would disregard his own life and betray him. Since this possibility was small, there was only the second possibility. The second possibility was that Du Tianlin had been captured. If that was the case, it would be very troublesome. It meant that he couldn't rely on the cultivation cauldron to heal his injuries in an extremely short period of time. He could only cultivate by himself. In this way, he would need at least a few hours. Moreover, during these few hours, he couldn't be disturbed. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to recover to his peak state. In this way, he would be able to face the ice and snow. He didn't have absolute confidence in defeating Wu and Zi Xintong. However, at this time, Ice Dragon Dao Lord had no choice. He did not dare to go out. This was the most special place in the Ice Dragon Hall. In this place, the surrounding space was sealed by him and his aura would not leak out. Without him, without permission, no one could enter this place. Even experts at the peak of the Dao Lord realm or a half-step Dao Master would find it difficult to break into this place. If the other party tried to force their way in, the formation here would be able to stop the other party until he fully recovered. Yang Hongwu wasn't particularly anxious. If it was before, Yang Hongwu would be worried if he didn't know that Zheng Qiushuang had entered the sacred land of ice. However, since he knew that his woman had entered the sacred land of ice, there was no need to worry. With his life in danger, Yang Hongwu felt much more at ease. Therefore, he was not particularly anxious. As long as they were dealt with, Dao Lord Ice Dragon would be able to enter the ice sacred realm. Therefore, Yang Hongwu was not worried. That guy hasn't come out yet. Seeing that Du Tianlin had gone in for so long, Xue frowned slightly. She didn't want to wait at all. Yang Hongwu was about to speak when he saw Du Tianlin walk out with a woman. This woman was extremely beautiful and her aura was cold like an ice mountain. However, Yang Hongwu felt a terrifying power from this woman. This woman was not simple. She seemed to have hidden her cultivation level. Ordinary people couldn't discover it all. Even experts at the Dao Lord realm couldn't discover it. Her strength seemed to be at the peak of the Dao Lord realm. Yang Hongwu couldn't help but take a deep breath. Was she a cauldron? What a joke. This woman's strength was too terrifying. If she unleashed her full strength, Zi Xintong and Xue might not be her match. Although Dao Lord Ice Dragon was strong, he might not be able to gain the upper hand in a head-on clash. Why was this woman hiding her cultivation level? Why was she in the Ice Dragon Mountain? With such a cultivation level, it was absolutely impossible to be caught easily. The reason why she was like this was probably because of the thing in the Ice Dragon Mountain. Could it be that there was a terrifying existence under the Ice Dragon Formation? If it wasn't for the existence under the Ice Dragon Formation, why would such an expert hide her cultivation level? Therefore, this was the most likely possibility. As for the other possibilities, they were too small. Tao Lord Ice Dragon Mountain. Everything wasn't that simple. Things are getting more and more interesting and complicated. Young Master, this is Shui Xian, a cauldron caught by Tao Lord Ice Dragon. This time, Tao Lord Ice Dragon asked me to bring Shui Xian to cultivate. Du Tianlin said, "You're Shui Xian Shui Shui looked at Shui Xian and her eyes lit up. What a pure physical body. What a powerful physique. If you cultivate, your future achievements won't be inferior to mine. Are you willing to take me as your master and join the Shrine of Ice?" Shui Shui saw Shui Xian's physique. She could tell that he was a cultivation genius. Once he started cultivating, his future achievements would definitely be great. To Shui Shui, it was necessary to nurture a successor for the Shrine of Ice. In her own opinion, her goal wasn't just limited to the Ice Divine Domain. She intended to enter the ancient God Domain in the future, and that was her goal. But before she left, she had to find a suitable successor. Shui Xian was an excellent choice. Yang Hanwu couldn't help but laugh when he saw Shui's reaction. Shui Xian wasn't weaker than Shui, yet she wanted to take him as her disciple. Shui snorted coldly when she saw Yang Hanwu laughing. She was very displeased and said, "What? Do you think I'm not qualified to take you as my disciple?" "No, that's not what I meant." Yang Hanwu shook his head. It wasn't good to offend a woman. If you want to chat about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people, follow me on WeChat. Chat about life. Find a confidant. Chapter 21-23. Then what do you mean? Icy Dance glared coldly at Yang Hongwu. How dare this brat mock me? Does he really think he's that strong? If Qin hadn't said that he could help her enter the sacred domain of ice, Icy Dance wouldn't have bothered with Yang Hongwu and Zi Xintong. After all, Yang Hongwu was just a stinky sovereign, while Zi Xintong was a shameless princess of the demon domain. In fact, Icy Dance had thought that Yang Hongwu was just a gigolo who lived off a woman. Clang. However, after seeing Yang Hongwu display his might, her impression of him changed. However, Yang Hongwu was actually laughing at this moment. This made her very angry, since she was the domain lord of the Ice Dominion. What was wrong with taking a disciple? How could Icy Dance not be angry when he dared to laugh at her? "I'm not laughing at you," Yang Hongwu explained again. "It's just that Miss Shui probably won't become your disciple." "How do you know?" Icy Dance turned to Shui Xian and said, "I'm the master of the Shrine of Ice, a Tao monarch expert. If you take me as your master, you'll be the young master of the Shrine of Ice and my successor. Once you reach the Tao monarch realm, you can inherit the Shrine of Ice and become the domain lord of the Ice Dominion. This is a rare opportunity. If you're strong enough, you won't be captured as a cauldron like before. If you're not strong enough, you'll be bullied. Do you understand?" Xianer looked at Yang Hongwu in astonishment. His concealment technique was extremely powerful. Even Tao Monarch Ice Dragon couldn't see through his disguise. Icy Dance and Zi Xintong were Tao Monarchs, but they couldn't see through his disguise either. Even half-step Tao Sovereigns couldn't see through his disguise. This man was merely a sovereign. Did he see through his disguise? This Shui Xian was very surprised. If he hadn't seen through his cultivation, the man in front of him wouldn't have said such words. "What? Have you taken a fancy to this gigolo?" Icy Dance was even more furious when Shui Xian ignored her and looked at Yang Hongwu instead. She had never imagined that someone would look down on her when she, the master of the Ice Dominion, wanted to take her as a disciple, but the other party didn't even want her. How could she not be angry? Well, if it weren't for the fact that this wasn't the right place. she would have scolded or even hit him. Young Hanwoo, if you don't give me a reasonable explanation today, I will fall out with you. At this time, Ice Dance finally couldn't hold back her anger. She stared at Yang Hongwoo and said. Yang Hongwoo was dumbfounded when he heard this. No one he thought about Shui Xian Er's unwillingness to become Icy Dance's disciple. Icy Dance actually made things difficult for him. He felt extremely wronged. Even Zi Xintong was looking at Yang Hongwoo curiously. She didn't understand how he knew that Shui Xian wouldn't become his disciple. After all, Shui Xian wasn't even a sovereign realm cultivator. She only had a special physique. Most people would be overjoyed if they could become the disciple of a Tao Lord. Why would they refuse such an offer? But however, Shui Xian was just like that. Could it be that Shui Xian had been subdued by Tao Lord Ice Dragon? It wasn't that Zi Xintong hadn't thought of this before. However, becoming a furnace wasn't a good thing. If Tao Lord Ice Dragon wanted to use a furnace to cultivate, it meant that Shui Xian the furnace, would die without a doubt. The gap between Shui Xian and Tao Lord Ice Dragon was huge. If their strength was similar, she wouldn't be a furnace, but a Tao companion. Only that kind of situation was very rare. Moreover, how could someone like Tao Lord Ice Dragon be favored by Shui Xian? Zi Xintong didn't believe this. Miss Shui Xian, I'm very curious. Why did you suppress your cultivation and let yourself be captured on purpose? Asked Yang Hongwoo. What did you say? I don't understand. Shui Xian was still pretending. She said, I'm very grateful that you came to save me. However, shouldn't we leave first? Otherwise, once Tao Lord Ice Dragon arrives, we'll be in big trouble. At this moment, Shui Xian looked very delicate. Yang Hongwoo said, Miss Shui Xian, there's no need to pretend. Given your strength, Tao Lord Ice Dragon can't catch you. You let yourself be captured on purpose and entered Ice Dragon Mountain. Could it be that you want to enter the Ice Sacred Land? No, that's not right. If you want to enter the Ice Sacred Land, it shouldn't be difficult, right? At this moment, Yang Hongwoo also thought about it. Zheng Qiushuang was captured together with Shui Xian. She could enter the Ice Sacred Land, but Shui Xian couldn't. Yang Hongwoo didn't believe this. After all, Zheng Qiushuang wasn't even at the Sovereign Realm. In fact, she wasn't even at the Divine Emperor Realm. However, she was able to enter the Ice Sacred Land. This was probably because of Shui Xian help. In fact, I should thank you. The woman who was captured with you is very important to me. You sent her into the Ice Sacred Land and left her safe and sound. I have to thank you. Yang Hongwoo said, You were hiding your cultivation? At this moment, Ice Dance finally understood why Yang Hongwoo had said that. Impossible, that's impossible. If she hid her cultivation, I should be able to see through it. She's clearly only at the Divine Emperor Realm. She's not even at the Sovereign Realm. Yeah, Yang Hongwoo, did you see wrongly? Zi Xintong said at this moment. When have I ever lied? Yang Hongwoo said, Miss Shui, I don't know what you want. However, we can join forces at this time. As long as we kill Tao Lord Ice Dragon, you can find whatever you want in Ice Dragon Mountain. What do you think? I'm curious. How did you see through it? At this time, Shui Xian finally stopped hiding. She looked at Yang Hongwoo with a strange look in her eyes. My concealment skill is so powerful that even experts at the half-step Tao Master Realm can't see through it. I'm surprised that you can see through it. It's true? Who the hell are you? At this moment, Ice Dance wanted to find a hole to hide in. It was too embarrassing. She couldn't even see through his concealment. She actually wanted to take him as a disciple. This was too embarrassing. My eye technique is unparalleled in the world. Those who can hide their cultivation in front of my eyes must be experts surpassing the Tao Lord realm. Otherwise, they won't be able to escape my eyes. Yang Hongwoo said, Only a few special cases can hide from me. Why are you here? Shui Xianer asked. We're looking for the woman you sent into the Ice Sacred Land. Yang Hongwoo said. Chapter 21-24. Here's an interesting novel for you to read. You want to enter the ice sacred realm? Shui Xian'er looked at Yang Hongwu and the others. If this was before, I could help you. But now I can't. Just kill Tao Lord Ice Dragon, Ice Snow said. It won't be that easy. Shui Xian'er shook his head. If Tao Lord Ice Dragon was that easy to kill, I would have done it long ago. Why would I wait until now? What do you mean by that? If we work together, killing Tao Monarch Ice Dragon shouldn't be too difficult, right? Zi Xintong asked. Could it be that Tao Monarch Ice Dragon still has some sort of powerful trump card? Little girl, you're far too naive. Why do you think Tao Monarch Ice Dragon was able to grow so quickly? He used to be nothing more than a venomous ice snake. In just a few hundred years, he was able to grow to such a level. Do you really think he's that simple? That's simple? Shui Xian'er said. Yang Hongwu, Zi Xintong, and the others were very surprised. A few hundred years? That didn't make sense. Tao Lord Ice Dragon should have occupied Ice Dragon Mountain 1,000 years ago. How could he have been a venomous ice snake just a few hundred years ago? This didn't make sense at all. Based on what I know, Tao Lord Ice Dragon reached the Tao Lord level 1,000 years ago. How could he have been nothing more than a venomous serpent a few centuries ago? I stand said. You can't lie to me about that. That's because you don't know the truth. You're too naive. The Tao Lord Ice Dragon before us isn't the real Tao Lord Ice Dragon, Shui Xian'er said. Impossible, Ice Snow said loudly. If it's not Tao Lord Ice Dragon, then who is it? According to what you said, where did the real Tao Lord Ice Dragon go? That's what I want to know too, Shui Xian'er said. According to what you said, you're here to find the real Tao Lord Ice Dragon. Yang Hongwu looked at Shui Xian'er. Yang Hongwu didn't really believe Shui Xian'er's words. However, he had to admit that Shui Xian'er's strength was indeed incomparably powerful. She wasn't any weaker than Zi Xintong and Shui Xingwu. In fact, she might even be slightly stronger. If Shui Xian'er really wanted to deal with Ice Dragon Tao Lord, this so-called Ice Dragon Tao Lord might not be able to resist. After all, it was a sneak attack. It was hard to imagine that a weak woman who hadn't even reached the sovereign realm would be able to unleash such terrifying power. However, if Shui Xian'er was unwilling to reveal her true intentions, it would be difficult for others to find out. Yang Hongwu didn't really believe that Shui Xian'er was looking for the real Ice Dragon Tao Lord, unless the real Ice Dragon Tao Lord had a close relationship with Shui Xian'er. That's right, Shui Xian'er said. Then, even if it's as you said, that you're here to find the real Ice Dragon Tao Lord, why are you looking for him? What's your relationship with the real Ice Dragon Tao Lord? Yang Hongwu asked again. After Yang Hongwu asked this question, Zi Xintong and Shui Xingwu also looked at Shui Xian'er. Yang Hongwu's question was exactly what they wanted to know. To Shui Xingwu, the Ice Dragon Sacred Domain was probably the only thing of interest in the Ice Dragon Mountain. Of course, there was also the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror. As for the Ice Dragon Sacred Domain, no one else knew that it was in the Ice Dragon Mountain. Even in the Ice Dragon Sacred Hall, only a few people knew about it. Shui Xingwu was worried that Shui Xian'er's goal was also the Ice Dragon Sacred Domain. If that was the case, it would be very troublesome for her. To be honest, Ice Dragon Tao Lord is a senior brother of mine. Yang Hongwu and the others stared wide-eyed at Shui Xian'er when they heard his words. The so-called truth of this matter was really unbelievable. You're not joking, right? Yang Hongwu asked. I'm not joking. This is the truth. Shui Xian'er said. This is also the reason why I came to the Ice Dragon Mountain. Master asked me to come here to find the reason why my senior brother, Ice Dragon Tao Lord, disappeared. Yang Hongwu and the others took a deep breath when they heard Shui Xian'er's words. From Shui Xian'er's words, it seemed that they had a master. If they were already so powerful, then their master must be even more powerful. Could it be that the master was a Tao sovereign expert? This was very likely. Of course, if it was a Tao sovereign expert, then it shouldn't be someone from the divine domain. You're from the ancient god domain? Zi Xintong asked. Shueshing Wu's eyes lit up. The ancient god domain was the real god domain. This place was just a fragment of the ancient god domain. It's not the god domain, it's the saint domain. Shui Xiner said, We're from the saint domain. With your talent, you can enter it. If you follow me back and join my Saint Origin sect, you can reach the Tao Lord realm in a short time. Saint Origin sect? Yang Hongwu shook his head. Whether it's the god domain or the saint domain, it doesn't hold much attraction to me. Yang Hongwu's thoughts weren't on the god domain or the saint domain at all. His goal was to find his woman, then cultivate and find a way to return to Earth that belonged to him. Then it's a pity. With your talent, you'll have a boundless future if you get the guidance of Master. Your achievements will definitely be greater than mine. Shui Xiner said with a look of pity. Let's not talk about this. You're here to find your senior brother? Yang Hongwu looked at her and said, If this Tao Lord Ice Dragon you speak of isn't your senior brother, then is your senior brother still alive? That's one thing. I came to the God Domain to find my senior brother, Ice Dragon Tao Lord, and also to find something. Of course, it's not convenient for me to tell you what it is. No matter what, we're not enemies. If I'm not wrong, all of you want to enter the Ice Sacred Land, right? Shui Xiner said. If you want to kill that imposter and enter the Ice Sacred Land directly, I don't recommend it. That imposter isn't very strong, but the person behind him is truly terrifying. Even I don't dare to act rashly. I suspect that the person behind that imposter isn't weaker than my master. He's a Tao Lord expert. He's from the upper world. As for who he is, I'm not sure. You want to know who's behind him before you act? Yang Hongwu asked. Yes, I can't wait. Yang Hongwu shook his head. It's the same. Whether that person is the Ice Dragon Tao Lord you're talking about or not, he has to die. Ice Dance said, Ice Dragon Mountain didn't do anything good 1,000 years ago. He often captured people to use as cultivation cauldrons. I don't know how many crimes he has committed. Ice Dragon Mountain was the same whether it was a few hundred years ago or 1,000 years ago. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that he had committed the most heinous crimes. Mobile users, please browse. MIF, you want to talk about the Nine Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people. You can follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find confidence. Chapter 21-25. Qin Xinshui Xian. Was speechless when she heard Yang Hongwu and Shui Er's words. She couldn't help it. Her senior brother was indeed not a good person. He cultivated the plucking yin, replenishing yang technique, which was not a good thing. Back in the St. Yuan sect, he had tried to take advantage of her. If it weren't for her master's high regard and her great strength, she would have been taken advantage of by Ice Dragon, Taoist Lord. In fact, she didn't have a good impression of Ice Dragon, Taoist Lord. If it weren't for that thing in her master's order, she wouldn't have left the sect and come to the divine domain. If you want to attack, I won't stop you. In fact, we're not enemies. On the contrary, we have the same goal. However, I'm worried that if you attack now, you'll provoke the person behind that fellow. If that person attacks, if he attacks, you won't be able to stop him. Even if we join forces, we won't be able to fight him. You have to think about this carefully, Shui Xian said to Yang Hongwu and the others. So what? Yang Hongwu said, even if we can't defeat him, we can still escape. You're thinking too simply. Escape? Shui Xian sneered. Don't you know the difference between the Tao Master realm and those below it? You can't imagine how terrifying a Tao Master is. A Tao Master can easily kill a half-step Tao Master. A half-step Tao Master and cultivators below the Tao Master level are like ants in their eyes. They can easily kill all of us, even if they only send out an incarnation. It sounds so scary, but if it's true, I would have been dead long ago. Yang Hongwu said coldly, There's always a limit. There's a powerful restriction in the divine domain. If I'm not wrong, a Tao Master Realm expert can't descend into the divine domain. Even if his clone enters the divine domain, it will be suppressed by the divine domain. If he forcefully descends, he'll probably suffer a terrible backlash from the divine domain, right? Yang Hongwu was very clearly aware that the Exalt Dao Defiant was actually a terrifying expert. He was a Dao Exalt, and one of his clones had entered the God domain because Yang Hongwu had killed one of his clones. To deal with him, if his true body could really descend, or if his strength was not suppressed, he would have been killed long ago. How could he have survived until now? Shui Xian paused. He did not know how to explain, because what Yang Hongwu said was the truth. If Dao Masters could descend, they would have done so a long time ago. That treasure was something that even Dao Masters coveted. If it wasn't for the fact that they couldn't descend, his master would have come to the lower world as well. If not for this, they would not have sent Dao Lord Ice Dragon to descend back then, and they would not have sent him down to the lower realm because something happened to Dao Lord Ice Dragon. What's wrong? You're not going to explain or hide. Shui looked at Shui Xian, and said, "Liar. Female liar." Shui was still holding a grudge. She wanted to take in a disciple, but she did not expect that Shui Xian's strength was on par with hers. It made her feel very embarrassed. She still remembered that she was very happy to see Shui Xian embarrassed and defeated. She had seen it with her own eyes. Shui Xian said, "It's true that they can't descend in their true bodies, but their clones are still extremely powerful, and they're not something that you and I can fight against." Yang Hongwu said, "With our strength, if we join forces, we can even contend against a peak existence in the realm of the gods. The reason why you're stopping us like this is probably because there's something you can't tell us. Is it secret? Secret? What secret can there be?" Shui Xian shook his head and said, "What I need has nothing to do with you. Even if you get it, it's useless to you." Shui still did not believe him and said, "If that's the case, why are you stopping us from attacking Dao Lord Ice Dragon? According to you, he's just an imposter. Since he's just an imposter, we don't have any conflict with him. Us taking action against him has nothing to do with you. As for the people behind him taking action, that is our business. It has nothing to do with you, right?" "You?" Shui Xian took a deep breath. She was clearly angered. "If you don't listen to my advice, you can go ahead and attack him. When the time comes, you'll be schemed against by that imposter. It'll only be a little troublesome for me. I won't be able to protect myself. After all, my master gave me a life-saving trump card. I can leave this place at any time." "You don't have to worry about that," Shui said. Yang Hongwu looked at the two women, speechless. Were these two women really like to repel each other? He had to admit that these two women were powerful. One was the master of the Ice Dominion, while the other had an extraordinary background. Although he did not know what the so-called Saint Yuan sect was like, one thing was for sure. Shui Xian's background was very strong. Later on, he was really strong. He had a Dao Master as his backing. If that's the case, let's go and deal with Dao Lord Ice Dragon and kill that guy. Zi Xintong's eyes were filled with murderous intent. "Let's go." Yang Hongwu nodded. In fact, Yang Hongwu was not worried about Dao Lord Ice Dragon, but the terrifying thing under the Ice Dragon Great Hall. If that thing came out, it would not be a good thing. Dao Lord Ice Dragon was really nothing to be afraid of. Whether that guy was the real Dao Lord Ice Dragon or a fake, Yang Hongwu did not care. Yang Hongwu was more concerned about the terrifying thing under the Ice Dragon Great Hall. Yang Hongwu guessed that Shui Xian's goal was probably the thing under the Ice Dragon Great Hall. However, Yang Hongwu did not know whether Shui Xian had the means to deal with that thing. If Shui Xian really had the means to deal with that dong, West means were a good thing. However, Shui Xian was not trustworthy. After all, his relationship with Shui Xian was not that good. They had just met and were strangers. "Then you guys have to be careful," Shui Xian said. "That fake is not as simple as what you see. Although that guy's clone has been killed, his trump card is far from being exposed. After all, we are considered friends. Now that we're friends, I don't want to see you get killed so easily. If you die so easily, it would be too much of a pity." "Are you cursing us?" Shui Xintong said coldly. Of course not. I'm just worried about you guys, Shui Xian said. Chapter 21-26. You don't have to worry about that, Ice Snow said. This is our own business. Besides, we're confident enough to deal with a mere Dao Lord Ice Dragon. As for the expert hiding behind the scenes, we don't really care. We can handle it. When Yang Hongwu's group hurried towards the Ice Dragon Hall, Shui Xian followed behind them. Why are you following us? Ice Snow frowned when she saw that Shui Xian was following them. You go your way, and I'll go mine. We have nothing to do with each other. Shui Xian replied angrily when she saw that Ice Snow Dance was targeting her. Are you trying to scheme against us behind our backs? Ice Snow asked coldly. Scheme against you? Shui Xian shook her head. There's no need for that. Let's wait until you're all safe. All right, stop arguing. Yang Hongwu said. Miss Shui Xian, it's fine if you want to follow me, but I hope that you won't do anything out of line, Shui Xian said. Shui Xian was very polite to Yang Hongwu. After all, Yang Hongwu's cultivation seemed to be only at the ruler realm, but Yang Hongwu gave her a lot of pressure. I'm just following you to take a look. If there's any danger, I might be able to help you. Of course, if I'm not completely confident, I'll leave immediately. After all, I don't want to stand under a wall of danger. In truth, Yang Hongwu was just saying that. He had a plan in mind and wasn't worried about Shui Xian's sneak attack. Even if she did, Yang Hongwu was confident that he could avoid it. This was Yang Hongwu's confidence. As for why he said that, it was just to remind Shui Xian that it was impossible for her to be the fisherman. Shui Xian was a smart person, and she understood the meaning behind Yang Hongwu's words. Soon, the group arrived at the Ice Dragon Hall. The entrance is here. At that moment, Du Tianlin formed a hand seal, and a light door appeared in the Ice Dragon Hall. This light door was where Ice Dragon Dao Lord would cultivate after entering the Ice Dragon Hall. This was a teleportation gate. After entering the teleportation gate, one would have to pass through layers of formations and restrictions before one could truly reach Dao Monarch Ice Dragon's cultivation room. It could be said that Dao Lord Ice Dragon was a very cautious person. He would not place his safety in the hands of others. He only trusted himself. Therefore, this was the first threshold. After entering this place, if one wanted to enter again, they would need Dao Lord Ice Dragon's permission. Du Tianlin had already made it clear to him. Yang Hongwu naturally already knew about it. However, for Yang Hongwu, other than the door outside, which was a little difficult, the formations and restrictions inside were useless to Yang Hongwu. Yang Hongwu was best at breaking formations and restrictions. No matter how powerful they were nothing in front of Yang Hongwu. Of course, this was unless the other party was strong enough and had attainments and formations that were stronger than him. In that case, Yang Hongwu would have to pay a certain price to break the formations and restrictions. However, it was obvious that Dao Lord Ice Dragon had not reached that level. His cultivation had not reached the Dao Venerate realm. As for his attainments in formations and restrictions, it was needless to say. Young master, I can't do anything about the formations and restrictions here. Moreover, now that I've been exposed, I'm worried that Dao Lord Ice Dragon will trigger the restrictions in my body and kill me. At this point, Du Tianlin looked at Yang Hongwu. He really did not want to die. He knew that Dao Lord Ice Dragon must have placed restrictions in his body. If Yang Hongwu could not block his restrictions and let Dao Lord Ice Dragon trigger them, then he would definitely die. However, he had no choice because if he did not agree to Yang Hongwu, he would also die. Moreover, Yang Hongwu had given him a chance to live. He could only pin his hopes on Yang Hongwu. He hoped that Yang Hongwu was telling the truth and that he could remove the restrictions left behind by Dao Lord Ice Dragon in his body. The life and death restriction. He could not sense the restrictions, but it did not mean that they did not exist. After all, he had seen with his own eyes those who betrayed Dao Lord Ice Dragon, and some who did not do things well die tragically when the restrictions in their bodies were triggered by Dao Lord Ice Dragon. Moreover, there were many of them. He did not want to be one of them. The only person who could save him now was Yang Hongwu. At this moment, Tao Lord Ice Dragon, who was in the secret cultivation room, naturally discovered that the door of his cultivation room had been opened. He also saw Yang Hongwu and the others. This made him very angry. How could he not know that Du Tianlin had already betrayed him? He never thought that Du Tianlin would actually betray him. It could be said that in his heart, Du Tianlin was his right-hand man, who was raised by him single-handedly. He had groomed Du Tianlin single-handedly. He did not expect Du Tianlin to betray him at this critical moment. This was unexpected. Damn it, Du Tianlin, you deserve to die. At this moment, the furious Tao, Lord Ice Dragon, triggered the restrictions in Du Tianlin's body. At that moment, Du Tianlin felt that his soul was being attacked by a terrifying force. His entire soul felt like it was about to explode. Young master, save me, save me. Du Tianlin knew that this was a secret technique activated by Tao Lord Ice Dragon. If Tao Lord Ice Dragon wanted to kill him, he could not resist. He could only ask Yang Hongwu for help. At this moment, Yang Hongwu opened his Dharma eye and saw the mark hidden in Du Tianlin's soul. It was the power of a curse. This power of a curse was hidden very well. If it had not been triggered, even he would not have discovered it. He had to admit that Tao Lord Ice Dragon had extremely terrifying attainments in the Tao of Curses. Yang Hongwu had seen the power of a curse before. He had also seen many incomparably powerful curse techniques. For example, the terrifying source of all evil curses that he had seen before was the truly terrifying power of a curse. The power of a curse in front of him was far inferior to the source of all evil curses. The more his strength increased, the more Yang Hongwu realized how weak he was. Back then, the source of all evil and curses had been so terrifying. He had been so weak back then, and there was no way he could have resisted it. The source of all evil and curses had been useless against him. The reason why he was injured was probably because of the power in his body. Thinking back now, Yang Hongwu was extremely glad. Back then, he really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. This is just a small matter. Yang Hongwu reached out and grabbed Du Tianlin's head. Then, a suction force erupted. It was the power of creation. This power of creation condensed into a talisman. This talisman instantly entered Du Tianlin's soul. In the next moment, the power of a curse in Du Tianlin's soul instantly dissipated under the attack of the talisman condensed by Yang Hongwu's power of creation. If you want to talk about the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people, follow excellent reading literature on WeChat. Talk about life, find confidence. Chapter 21-27. Thank you, young master. Thank you. Du Tianlin thanked Yang Hongwu profusely after discovering that the seal in his soul had been removed. This time, his life was finally saved. He was even prepared to die from the start. He didn't expect that Yang Hongwu would really be able to save his life. How could he not be happy? After all, no one wanted to die. It's just a small matter. I've always kept my word. Yang Hongwu smiled faintly. He didn't take it to heart. In fact, it was just a small matter to him. Impossible. How can someone remove the power of my curse? This is absolutely impossible. Realizing that his curse restriction had been dissolved, Tao Lord Ice Dragon cried out in disbelief. He frantically tried to activate the original curse restriction, but it was to no avail. That's right. Damn it. He was a little anxious when he saw Yang Hongwu and the others rushing towards his location. This wasn't a good thing. After all, his injuries hadn't recovered yet. This was the most important reason. In reality, at first, he wasn't so worried, but when he saw that Yang Hongwu had easily removed the restriction on Du Tianlin's body, he became anxious. Of course, he also had a trump card. However, he wasn't willing to use it until the last moment. It was his life-saving trump card. Moreover, once he used it, it meant that he might be in danger of losing himself. This was something he didn't want. In reality, because of this, he was worried when he saw Yang Hongwu and the others continue to move forward. These seals and formations are really powerful. Can you remove them? Icy Dance looked at Yang Hongwu and frowned slightly. She couldn't break through these seals and formations in a short period of time. She would only be able to do so if she used a lot of power. Don't worry, these formations and seals are nothing in front of me. Yang Hongwu was very confident. How arrogant! When Shui Xian heard Yang Hongwu's words, she couldn't help but say, "These restrictions are extremely powerful. Ordinary people would find it difficult to break them. Even I would have to pay a great price to break them." "That's you," Zi Xintong said. "It's just a small matter to him. You'll know later." Yang Hongwu had already heard Xian Er's words. However, Yang Hongwu didn't care. He came to the front and waved his hand. A seal was cast. In the next moment, the seal instantly dissipated. Seal. As soon as the seal was removed, the formation was also removed. Look, everyone couldn't help but widen their eyes at this scene. They simply couldn't believe that Yang Hongwu could do something like this. Impossible. How can my seals and formations be broken so easily? Ice Dragon Dao Lord, who was in the cultivation room, naturally felt that the formations and seals he had set up had been removed. How could he not be shocked? In the beginning, although he knew that the formations and seals he had set up couldn't stop Yang Hongwu and the others, he didn't expect them to be broken so quickly. If this meant that he didn't have enough time to recover from his injuries, this would be troublesome. Even so, it won't be that easy to enter my cultivation room. After taking a deep breath, a cold light flashed in Ice Dragon Dao Lord's eyes. The formations and seals were the first barrier to entering his cultivation room. After all, this was his cultivation room. If it was so easy to enter, wouldn't his life be in the hands of others? So although Ice Dragon Dao Lord was a little anxious after the first barrier was broken, it didn't mean that he had no other means. "Let's go. The formations and seals have been removed," Yang Hongwu said. "Young Master is mighty," Du Tianlin shouted. "Bootlicker," Ice Dance whispered. Du Tianlin didn't care. To him, Yang Hongwu was his master now. He only cared about Yang Hongwu's attitude towards him. As for whether the others liked or disliked him, he didn't care. "Follow me." Since the formations and seals had been removed, Du Tianlin knew that he should lead the way. If he didn't do such a small thing and hit at the back, he would be useless. Since Du Tianlin was very active in showing his usefulness and value. After all, he had just joined Yang Hongwu. If he couldn't show his value, he wouldn't be recognized by Yang Hongwu. However, if he wanted Yang Hongwu to help him improve the power of his bloodline, let him evolve into a dragon, break through the bottleneck of the ruler realm, and enter the Dao Lord realm. When Du Tianlin walked in front, a black shadow appeared. Du Tianlin didn't react in time and was instantly sent flying. This time, Du Tianlin was seriously injured. Du Tianlin couldn't believe it. What was this? He had always been Dao Lord Ice Dragon's confidant, but he didn't know that there was such a powerful force guarding this place. This was something he hadn't expected. Heavy after being injured, Du Tianlin didn't have the strength to resist at all. Seeing the black shadow attack him again, he could only watch and wait for death. He was in despair. However, at this moment, a powerful force rushed toward the black figure. Bang! A loud sound rang out. A black shadow was sent flying. Du Tianlin had escaped death. The person who attacked was Zi Xintong. Puppet. Yang Hongwu narrowed his eyes. This was a puppet, a Dao Lord puppet. It really surprised him. Jew. However, with a Dao Lord puppet, he had to admit that Dao Lord Ice Dragon's methods were really shocking. Puppet? That's right. This is a puppet. Yang Hongwu nodded. At this moment, the true face of the black shadow was revealed. It was expressionless and had no vitality, but its aura was very terrifying. It was a Dao Lord expert. It didn't have any vitality, but its combat power was very shocking. No, that's not right. It's not just a puppet. Yang Hongwu shook his head. Sure enough, at this moment, another figure appeared from the darkness. This figure was a giant dragon. A giant dragon was also a puppet, an ice dragon puppet. It was a puppet refined from an ice dragon after its death. Its strength was also very terrifying. These two Dowlord golems were Dowlord Isidrogon's trump cards. This is my senior brother's true body. How is this possible? He was refined into a puppet. At this moment, Shui Xian cried out. Chapter 21-28. To provide you with an exciting novel to read. You mean that this ice dragon puppet is your senior brother, Dowlord Ice Dragon? Yang Hongwu looked at Shui Xian. That's right. This is my senior brother's original body. I didn't expect him to be refined into a puppet. That person deserves to die. Shui Xian's killing intent flickered. Although she didn't have a good relationship with Ice Dragon Dowlord, he was still her senior brother after all. However, she didn't expect him to be reduced to such a state where his corpse had been refined into a puppet. How could she not be furious? If I'm not wrong, that person, the imposter you're talking about, is actually an ice dragon. Yang Hongwu said. Moreover, you should know that in the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror, that guy seems to have a twin brother, who is also an ice dragon. Don't you have any doubts about this? Xian was slightly taken aback. She naturally knew about this. Indeed, there was an ice dragon in the Ice Dragon secret realm of the Ice Dragon Ancient Mirror. This ice dragon was very similar to Ice Dragon Dowlord. However, it was much weaker. In reality, these two ice dragons had nothing to do with her senior brother, Dowlord Ice Dragon, because they didn't know of her existence. This was also why Shui Xian knew that Dowlord Ice Dragon was an imposter. 1. In the beginning, Shui Xian had thought that her senior brother Ice Dragon Dowlord had been possessed. However, she hadn't been able to figure out the truth of the matter. Now, she finally understood that her senior brother hadn't actually been possessed. His corpse had been refined into a puppet. This was how terrifying the other party was. Ice. A part of Dowlord Ice Dragon's memories had been read. However, the part related to the Saint Yuan sect was sealed by her master. The other party didn't have enough strength to obtain that part of the memories. This was also why the other party didn't recognize her. Of course, part of the reason was that Shui Xian had deliberately concealed herself. If I'm not wrong, the guy in the ancient Ice Dragon mirror should be a clone of the imposter. It's because there's a problem with his cultivation technique. Shui Xian hesitated for a moment before saying, there are some special cultivation techniques that can cause some accidents, especially cultivation techniques like the external incarnation. Yang Hongwu nodded. In fact, this was indeed true. By surprisingly, Yang Hongwu himself had cultivated the One Qi into 3 pure ones incarnation secret art. This was a very powerful secret art that could transform one's incarnation into one's true body. Of course, Yang Hongwu couldn't imagine that it would be very troublesome if his incarnation couldn't be retracted and something went wrong, resulting in an independent personality. But yes, the possibility of this happening was very small, unless he went mad and made a mistake in his cultivation. No matter what, let's deal with these two puppets first, Yang Hongwu said coldly. Leave it to us, Zi Xintong said. Leave that ice dragon puppet to me. You go deal with the other one, Ice Dance said. Okay. Zi Xintong nodded. The two women flew up at the same time and swept towards the two puppets. Die. Ice Dance hated Dao Monarch Ice Dragon very much. After all, this guy had prevented her from breaking through and entering the Holy Land of Ice. If it wasn't for Dao Monarch Ice Dragon, she would have obtained the true inheritance of the Ice Dominion and become its true master. If that was the case, how could her strength still be at its current level? She would probably have entered the half-step Dao Sovereign realm long ago. She might even have broken through the bottleneck of the Dao Monarch realm and become a Dao Sovereign. Ice Dance's strength was very strong. Although she didn't use the Ice Dominion's origin energy, it was still not something that a mere puppet could stop. On the other side, Zi Xintong's strength was also very strong. Although the puppet was also at the Dao Monarch realm, it couldn't withstand Zi Xintong's attack. Puppets were ultimately just puppets. They could withstand a few hits, but they didn't have self-awareness. While Dao Monarch Ice Dragon didn't have the energy to control the two puppets at the moment. However, The two puppets were at the Dao Monarch realm after all, and their combat strength was very strong. While in Dao Lord Ice Dragon's opinion, as long as these two puppets could obstruct Yang Hongwu's group for a period of time, he knew that these two puppets would not be able to stop Yang Hongwu's group. However, at the very least, these two puppets would be able to exhaust Yang Hongwu's group. Then in any case, it was very beneficial to him. Something's not right. At this moment, Yang Hongwu frowned. There was a special aura in the void. It was the aura of a devil. This devil aura wasn't like Zi Xintong's aura of the Sacred Devil Clan. It was a pure evil aura. What's wrong? Shui Xian'er asked. Did you discover something? Shui Xian'er looked at Yang Hongwu. She still didn't see anything interesting in the Ice Dragon Mountain. There seemed to be something special hidden in the Ice Dragon Mountain. The reason why she hid her cultivation was actually to find these things. Of course, it was also to find that treasure. Shui Xian'er also felt danger in the Ice Dragon Mountain. It seemed like there was a powerful and terrifying force in the Ice Dragon Mountain. She still couldn't find out where this powerful and terrifying force was. But Yang Hongwu wasn't simple either. It wouldn't be strange if he discovered something. The aura of a devil. Yang Hongwu said, Isn't Zi Xintong from the Sacred Devil Clan? Shui Xian'er naturally knew about the Sacred Devil Clan. She came from the upper world and came from the true ancient god domain. Naturally, she knew about the Sacred Devil Clan. In the upper world, the Sacred Devil Clan and the Ancient God Clan weren't like what the people in the lower world thought. To the Ancient God Domain, the real enemy wasn't the Demon Clan, but the extraterritorial race. That's the aura of a devil, Yang Hongwu said. There's the aura of a devil in these two puppets. What? As soon as Yang Hongwu finished speaking, he saw one of the puppets explode. At this moment, a strange aura emerged from the puppet. At this moment, Yang Hongwu moved instantly. In a flash, he appeared above the black shadow and grabbed the evil aura. The evil aura struggled madly, trying to escape from Yang Hongwu's grasp. However, how could Yang Hongwu let it do as it wished? A ball of flame appeared in his hand and burned instantly. It was the karmic fire of the Red Lotus. The moment the karmic fire of the Red Lotus was about to burn, the evil aura stopped struggling and dissipated by itself. Mobile users, please browse. If you want to talk about the 9 Heavens Divine Dragon technique with more like-minded people, please follow me on WeChat. Talk about life. Find a soulmate that you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.